I could really.
Hey, everybody. GameHounds podcast. Edie Sellers here with Nick DiNicola and Andrew Smith. And we are here for another wild show, still in our pre-show prepping. What's anybody play?
I'm just realizing how much I can like lean back and slouch in this chair. Like this is a new work chair that my work gave me, and so I've always like tried to get it nice and ergonomic. I'm sitting up straight. Motherfucking little asshole! Look at him clawing at that chair. You dick cat. That's why I need to get that. That's why I'm happy I got this new chair, because he's ruining that other chair. But yeah, I'm just realizing, wow, I can make this chair like really, ergonomically terrible for my back, but it's very comfortable.
I bet.
So
what games have we got to talk
Are we
about?
ready to do that, or are we gonna start? Like,
No. I need to do the banners. So what games are we going to talk about?
Valheim.
more Valheim.
Yeah, that's most of what I've been playing, and then Outriders demo.
Oh, you did play the Outriders demo.
I did.
Good.
Some of it.
I've been meaning to get around to that, but never did.
What do you got, Nick?
13 Sentinels
Mm-hmm.
and One Finger Death Punch 2.
Oh, and then I guess Star Wars Fallen Order again. I'm still working through that.
Don't forget, please hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube now. Hit the notification bell, subscribe. Don't forget to thumbs up this show. It does make a huge difference. Please don't watch the show and then just walk away.
Oh, so
do we?
You're trapped. You can't leave. If you're watching us, you just can't go.
Do we not entertain? Please.
I saw in Discord, AAC Wraith is talking about playing through Andromeda, and he's been having a hell of a time. He's been saying, I've been playing it like it's my job. If it gets to that point, I always feel like you're okay dropping a game. Like, just drop it.
Wait, you're playing?
It becomes a job.
Mass Effect Andromeda?
Yeah,
it's a job?
AC Wraith.
Well, he's playing it because he has EA Origins and he wants to get through it before he runs out. So he's been playing it extra hard.
Oh, okay.
Like
he says he enjoys the game. Because I'm like, if you're
playing it hardcore.
Okay, like if you're playing it and it's like, oh, it's such a grind and it feels like a job. Even if you've got 2 weeks left, just drop it. Because I kind of felt that way about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that I got into. Because I watched this new show on Netflix that Netflix produced that was actually really good. And I guess when I was looking into it, it's like a spin-off of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So I was like, okay, let me try to check out JoJo's. Turns out it leaves Netflix today. At least the first season does. So I'm like, shit, I have a week to watch 26 episodes.
How far are you into JoJo's?
I'm almost done with the second season, which Netflix, I think, organizes the first 2 seasons as one season because it's like Phantom Blood / something, and it's like 2 generations. So, have you seen it?
I've seen like 8 episodes of the first season, and it was so exhausting. I never picked it back up because that show makes you tired. Like, you are physically exhausted after watching that show. At least
that
the first
show,
season.
That show is at a constant 12 out of 10. Like, you know, with Spinal Tap's like, it goes up to 11. JoJo's like, fuck you, we're up to 12 all the time. And
see, like, now I want to watch it.
You don't understand. Okay. It is tiring.
The second season leaves on March 27th. So there will still be JoJo content out there At least I think it does.
It's
that's what I saw. That's what I
Crunchyroll.
saw if it come up on my screen. It says March 27th. So
yeah, and that's why when I started, I was like, oh, I've got plenty of time. And then when I go into the individual episode, it says March 7th, and I'm like, oh fuck. So I guess I'll get into it now in the pre-show. There'll be Nick's Anime Corner. Da 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 da.
And I'll pick up the Edie's or the goalie's weather report.
Oh, okay. So yeah, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. JoJo looks at, general ideas of character development and dialogue and pacing and just laughs at you and goes, fuck you. No. It starts off relatively grounded, like that's basically about this, kind of a posh British dude named Joseph Joestar, I think. And his dad basically adopts this kid named Dio. And Dio is just like this little shithead that's like, fuck you, JoJo. I'm going to ruin your life and I'm going to like steal your inheritance and all this stuff. And just goes about, for the first 2 episodes, covers like a decade of Dio basically ruining JoJo's life and trying to like get him kicked out of the family so that Dio gets all the inheritance. That's like 2 episodes. Then we get into the vampires and the zombies. There's basically this stone mask that Dio puts on that like has claws that go into your brain and turn you into a vampire. And then as a vampire, you can then create zombies. And then the show turns into a shonen anime of JoJo basically learning this magical hormone power to defeat the vampires. And like it feels like from episode maybe 5 to 12 is basically almost one long fight. And it's like, because this is the weird thing about the pacing. Normally it's like, oh, Dio turned into a vampire, let's hunt him down and stuff like that. But it very quickly is like, oh, Dio turned into a vampire, skip ahead 5 years, we found a secret hideout, let's attack it. 10 episodes of them fighting through the secret hideout, fighting Dio and all that. And it's like, oh, wow, you basically spent 2 episodes on the introduction, skipped the middle chapter, and then spent 10 episodes at the climax.
There's no gradual build-up here. It is just full sprint the entire time.
And there's a character named Speedwagon. And also, I only realized after the fact that I guess this is purposeful, that a lot of characters are named after songs. So you've got Speedwagon for like REO Speedwagon.
Later Dio, for Ronnie James Dio.
I didn't even know that. Yeah. There's a girl named Susie Q.
Speedwagon is best girl, by the way. Just so that's clear. Yes.
I fucking love Speedwagon.
Yeah.
Because Speedwagon exists in a perpetual state of shock and awe. Because he basically exists as the narrator of JoJo. He doesn't have any magical powers. He just follows around the guys and goes, oh my god, JoJo's gonna use his X move. This is amazing because of this, this, and this. And there's no way Dio can stop it. Oh my god, Dio stopped it. How did he stop it? Oh, it's because he did this at the last second. That's so amazing. Dio is this. Oh my god. Dio is this type of person, and that's why he's so strong. But JoJo's also he has such an amazing will. This is such an amazing fight between 2 amazing people. And now JoJo's gonna use Y move. Oh, I didn't know he could do that. Holy fuck, this is amazing.
So
it's that all the time out of Speedwagon.
And you know what's great, Edie, is like that pace Nick just said, that's every episode all the time. Like, not even exaggerating. That little diatribe that he went on, like, as Speedwagon, is happening in the show, and it's 90% of it, so it is exhausting.
Yeah. So I binge as much of that as I can, because it leaves today, and I've only got 2 episodes left in what Netflix calls the first season. So I'll finish that. But season 2, which ends on the 27th, is 48 episodes long.
Okay.
And I honestly don't know if I can put myself through that.
All right. So something you need to know about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The first, I I have seen this broken down into like season 1, season 2, and like season 3. I've seen this broken down into parts, like season 1, part 1. So whatever it is, there is a disconnect between the whole vampire storyline, because each season's supposed to be like a new generation with like the same name, same family.
So just like season 1 of Netflix seems to cover the first 2 generations.
Yeah, and after that, when you get to the new stuff, the stuff that is memed constantly, that's where the show and the love is for it. Not this first season with like the vampires and all that. You could actually skip this. I would feel bad about it because I'm kind of a purist.
But didn't I know that going in?
These next seasons are the one where they introduce like a power system called Stand, which are like spirits that have their own special ability, and that's where they fight each other like Pokemon.
And that might be what originally got me watching JoJo's. Fuck are you doing, cat? Netflix put out this Netflix produced series called like Thus Spoke Kishibe Rohan. And it looks like it has a JoJo art style. And I watched it. And what it ended up being is this cool 4-episode OVA that's an anthology horror story of this guy with powers, kind of using his powers to get out of really creepy ass situations. And his power is he can read your mind like it's a book and write in it. And the way that's shown on screen is like he uses power and a person's face opens up. Like the hinges of the book are your ears. The face like opens up from the center and it's all just writing. And he reads it. And all the pages are flying open and he like takes a pen and goes and writes something in there. And it's really cool. And the situations he gets into are like, or the situations that he encounters, that he tells the story, because he's like a manga artist describing his inspiration for some stories. They're really fucked up in a way that's not like, oh, I'm gonna jump because I'm scared, but just like really gets under your skin of like it takes these sort of ridiculous concepts and like manages to eke out some genuine creepiness factor out of them. And I thought like this is really fucking cool. If this is what JoJo's is, like this type of really interesting power visualized like the book, I want to see more of that. And I guess, but these first 2 seasons that I watched on Netflix don't have a lot of that.
And that stuff isn't there. Like the later seasons, again, after season 3.
Okay, Diamond is Forever season.
It picks up, like, again, I haven't seen this. This was the reason I watched JoJo to begin with, is because I wanted to get to that point. But I did not make it. I am still recovering from that. I didn't even finish like the first arc, which is like 9 episodes. I got to 8 and I was just like, I can't. I need to go to sleep or something.
Yeah.
It's like an ADHD kid telling you a story where it's just like there is no filler, there is no build up. It's just one action scene to the next. Oh, you got beat. Oh, you got to learn training powers. Oh, not like you have to go build up and like go train with those powers. No, you trained. You're gonna go fight the main boss now.
Yeah. Yes.
None of that.
It's totally like a kid looking through a toy box, taking random action figures, going like, and then Batman came in, and then like Superman came in, and they started fighting, and then a dinosaur came in, and they became friends, and they went to fight a pterodactyl, and it's like, wow.
It all makes sense. It all has a like continuous story that like you can follow, but it does feel like that.
There's an energy to it that you're right is exhausting, and in a way that energy makes it fun, because even though I hesitate to call it good because like the characters are so thin, the plot is so ridiculous, even the fights, it's like, you know what, Dragon Ball Z did all this kind of better, but there's just like a sheer insane fuck it energy that makes it fun but also exhausting. So yeah, it's best done in small doses.
But yeah, season 3, keep with it. If you want that power system,
maybe I'll give it a break. If the second season lasts until the 27th, that at least gives me a lot more time to get through it.
From what I've seen is that that power system you want is what makes the 3rd season great. Like you have people with like seemingly obtuse powers that don't do a lot, and then the author and the like expanding upon that, and those people using it in creative ways to win.
That's like cool. That's what I wanted, man.
Like, and there are some like crazy obtuse powers. I don't even have examples, but I just remember reading a power and being like, the fuck?
Yeah. And that's what I really liked about that spin-off series, because it's like the idea of, oh, I'm gonna read your mind like it's a book and writing it. I thought, I've never seen something like that before. I've never seen like a psychic power visualized and represented in that way. That's really clever.
All right. So are we ready for the show?
I will just say really quick, I also watched an anime Netflix called High Rise Invasion, which I enjoyed because it is total anime grindhouse exploitation horror. It's anime in that people get teleported to a world that's only skyscrapers connected with rope bridges. There's no elevators. All the stairs down are blocked, and there are creepy guys in masks that aren't out to kill you, but are just out to torture you until you jump off the skyscraper. So it's very brutal, and there's like a whole rule system involved of like what masks can do what and who can control masks, and it's a total like anime exploitation in that the main girl runs around with a ripped schoolgirl skirt the entire season. Another person gets her shirt ripped, and you can see her bra, and she keeps wearing that shirt for half the season. It's interesting, but it's also like, oh, this is total like grindhouse schlock in anime form. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to second season.
All right, so Nick's Anime Corner is over. Let's start the show. Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
And these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
All right, mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 584. We are recording on March 7th, 2021. I'm Edie Sellers, and with me is Nick DiNicola and one of those people, Andrew Smith. How you guys doing?
Those people. Ugh. I hate those people. Those people are the worst.
Yeah, they never wear masks.
I know.
They litter.
These people are good. I'm fine with these people, but
those guys, yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if if you catch me yawning in this show, it is not because I am uninterested in anything you have to say. I am really short of sleep.
Is it the puppy?
Yeah. It is the puppy. Crate training is easy to say, hard to do. This dog is like, what do they call that? Oppositional defiant.
Okay.
This is an oppositional defiant puppy. And like, you tell her to come, she will not come. You walk away, she won't follow you. You tell her, go in your kennel. She's like, no. You say, hey, come here. Come out of your kennel. She's like, no, stay in your kennel. She tries to get out. Come out of your kennel. She just sits there and looks at you. Yeah, she is a total contrarian. Anything that you ask her to do, she won't do. You tell her to come, she runs away. You tell her go away, she comes at you.
What if you use reverse psychology and basically train her to come with the words "go away"?
I don't know.
That seems like rough.
She needs a lot of structure, and most of it at night. The first couple nights she was fine, and then she has gotten increasingly worse. She is backtracking. She's regressing with the house training, with the crate training, everything. It is all regressing. She is a piece of work. She's fun. By the way, her name is Mia. She has been named.
Mia.
Mia. So she's a great dog. I mean, she is a total snuggle bunch and loves to just hang out on the couch with you and snuggle. But she's also, and she doesn't bite. She's not a nipper. She's not a chewer really, but like she doesn't like hurt your hands or anything. She's not a rough player, which is nice. But yeah. Oh, by the way, AC Ray says, many thanks to Steve Ortegon for maintaining the Facebook page. If you are not on our Discord, you need to be on our Discord. It is actually quite the channel. The Discord, you can find the Discord link. Oop, we lost Andrew. You can find the Discord link by going to the Facebook page. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/the GameHounds. And there is a link for Discord. Please join our, it's not just us. I mean, we're there, but it's not just us. It's a whole lot of other people too. I'm streaming on there. We have a section for game deals that we are putting all the cheap, the best and the cheapest games that we're seeing. If anything that's piques our interest and goes, ooh, that's a good price, it's going into the games deals section. We've got a pimp yourself section. If you've got anything going on in your life, like your own YouTube page or your own Twitch stream, or you wrote something or whatever, anything that you want to do to kind of pimp yourself out to the community, you can do it there. We also have just a place for you to sit and talk, either by text or just chat with us. I'm usually in the gaming channel streaming Crusader Kings 3 every night, because this Crusader Kings 3 playthrough, I am kicking ass.
Did you end up starting over, or is it still the Queen of Scotland?
It is. No, it's that same game that you saw me last.
Okay.
When I started out with the Queen of Scotland, that one got hosed because I set somebody up as the to be the queen of one of my, I think it was my sister it was my sister. It was a couple generations later. I set up my sister to be the Queen of Jerusalem, and she took my son with her and then made him an earl in Jerusalem. And that put him out of my diplomatic reach, so that when I died, it didn't recall him back to Scotland because he was out of my diplomatic reach. So that game ended. So this is a whole other game that I started quite some time ago, several weeks ago. And Scotland is now all of Ireland, all of Scotland, obviously. It's the Empire of Scotland now. It includes Scotland, Ireland, England, France, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, parts of other sections of Scandinavia, and into the northern area of Russia, and most of the Iberian Peninsula. So most of Spain. I'm about to start eyeing in probably as soon as this liege dies, I'm going to probably take over the Holy Roman Empire, which is most of Eastern Europe and Poland. And then I'm going to go after the Polish Empire and then start working my way down into Italy.
Awesome.
Yeah,
damn,
no,
that's impressive.
I am kicking ass by far. Scotland is the dominant. Scotland just decides they want you, and you're God. We're just rolling over everything. We are by far the most powerful entity on the planet at the moment.
Surprised you haven't just gone out and bought a crown that you can put on every time you're playing, and just yes, really get into it.
I do have a crown. I could do that.
Oh,
nice.
I have quite the crown. In fact, that's an idea. I haven't used that crown since the day I got married. Well, I've used it for a couple of Halloween costumes, but yeah, might as well. Got nothing else to do. When you have a crown, what else are you going to do?
Exactly.
Put it on and do homework. I used to, or not homework, it's housework. I used to put it on and then vacuum. Whenever I was vacuuming, I would wear my crown. Because why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. So yeah, Crusader Kings still going strong for me. And as I said, it's in the Discord all the time. Please feel free to join us in the Discord. I have posted it to our live video feed. It is there. Please feel free to copy that and join the Discord. And if, like I said, if you're listening on the audio, just go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/the GameHounds. There is a pinned link there for the Discord channel. Join it and come play with us. So what have you guys been playing?
Most of my time is spent on Valheim.
Mm-hmm.
If people don't know what that is, I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. It is
God, it is everywhere. Holy shit, it is everywhere.
It's fun and it's well made, and it's like a gigabyte in size, which is amazing. It's just a different note of how big games have been getting, as far as download size. This thing's like a gigabyte, so it is not very large. That game is surprisingly fun. The combat in it is not spectacular in any way. You essentially get a dodge, you get a block, and you get an attack. Some have a secondary attack, but that's not often used. Your spear, you can throw it. But there's an emphasis on parrying. If you can parry somebody with either your shield, which has a higher block chance, or block amount. If you parry somebody, they're staggered and you do extra damage. So there's this little bit of incentive to practice timing on blocking. And it's, again, not complicated, but it's done in such a way that when you're fighting, it feels fun. Fun enough when you combine it with the rest of the game. And then outside of that, you have the standard survival mechanics of going to get wood, stone, metals, whatever. There is a progression to it that is cool. So you start off typically in a meadow, which is the newbie garden. You have your basic wood, stone, supplies, and you fight the weakest of the creatures. And then you move on to the Black Forest, which has a new type of wood, and you kind of build up your resources there. When you get enough, you fight the first boss. That unlocks a pickaxe. That pickaxe you use to get bronze, which you can make a bronze axe, which lets you cut down the harder tree for fine wood. And that progression builds up to the point where you're sailing out into the world. You're going to the new locations. You're finding a swamp, a plains, and each one has its own upgrades, own medals, own stuff that you need to collect to go fight their boss. And it ends up being a pretty fun game outside of just the general fun playing of the survival mechanics of the game. Not necessarily just the progression, but just, building a home, spending the time building up a base, stuff like that.
Do you have to defeat a boss in an area to move on to the next one, or is it just it gives you cool resources?
Not really. You need to beat the first boss so that you can get it's a giant deer, so you can get its horn, so that you can make a pickaxe. This lets you get bronze and such. After that point, you can use that for most of the mining, but it sucks. So that's the first one you need, and then the second or third boss gets you a wishbone, which lets you find silver in the mountains, which isn't an ore that you can find usually above it. Stuff like that. So it gives you stuff, but you could find that silver regardless if you got lucky.
It just makes it easier. Okay. What's the area that has the killer bee? I've heard horror stories about this bee or wasp that can kill you in a hit.
Oh, the mosquitoes. The plains. The plains have gigantic buffalo, small goblins that will fuck your day up, and yes, a mosquito that just comes at you. It's super weak if you can hit it, but it does a shit ton of damage.
What's the name of the area called?
The plains. But this natural progression in the game, and then sailing is just fun in general. Is great, and in the game you can build portals, so you can go back and to and from base through this portal system, which
that's cool.
The materials are relatively cheap. You put one down, you name it, and then when you put another one down, then you name that one. You can teleport between them by just going through them.
That's nice. So you're not really punished for going out and exploring as far as you can, because you can just slap down a portal and then like hop back. And...
Yes. The one exception to this, to kind of keep that idea of sailing and like exploring the world, is you cannot teleport ore or like their smelted components. So if you can't just like go to a material deposit, mine, and then bring it back. Like that's not how that works. If you need to get iron and you need to go sail out to go find a good swamp that has like crypts and stuff, you can put that stuff in the boat and then sail back and then like use carts to lug it. But just like when you're out there and you need to repair gear and stuff, you can drop the portal to come back to base, get more food, get your basic supplies that aren't crafting material as far as metals go.
Okay.
That's the metals itself is meant to keep you like traveling.
Yeah. So you'll create like crafting tables, different places, but you can teleport back for your bed.
Yeah, or like if you have a stockpile of food, so you don't have to carry it with you, stuff like that. Or like again, you can farm wood. There's more stuff in the plains like barley and wheat. You can get all of that stuff and teleport back, but like metal is important, and expanding upon that is the one reason to travel. And if you got rid of that, it would make the game super easy. And in this video that you're seeing, that guy has a portal like right next to him, and you can make kind of temporary bases. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. I got like 5 friends that we play together pretty regularly. I have a couple more that play on their own, but hopefully if they get a server together, I'll merge the 2 groups, and you can have up to 10 people in this game at once. And I'd love to get everyone together.
I might be interested in this.
It's pretty chill. It's a chill game. Kind of scary when you first playing, but once you kind of know the basic rules, it's good. Like, and you do get attacked. Like in 7 Days to Die, every 7 days you get attacked by a zombie horde. In this, you get attacked occasionally, but only lasts like a few minutes. You just kind of have to be prepared to fight. That's all.
Right.
You can bring a character over from a different game to someone else's, which is it's fine, but if you're like joining someone's low level game with a high level character, you can kind of ruin that beginning experience if you're overpowered or you're throwing them like stuff they can't get yet. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's still nice though to be able to play with a single character and to not have to like constantly start over.
Yeah, and what's great about that is you have skills with those characters that build up. So like if you're sprinting, you naturally build up a sprinting skill, same with jumping, mining, all of that, and then all your combat skills. So if you are bringing one character over, if you left all your equipment, you just have one character that has these stats, and if you kept with it, it would be a way to kind of grind stats and keep playing with friends. Just, don't ruin it for other people. Talk to them before you join with an overpowered character. That's all.
Well, just when you're an overpowered character, just watch them. Don't help them. If they're struggling, just laugh at them.
Yeah, pretty much. Do that. Or, gently explain to help them not struggle. But this game has been blowing up.
Yeah, it has. Oh my gosh. All over social media feeds like crazy.
For kind of a game that came out of nowhere, it sold 5 million copies in 1 month.
Wow. And
like there's fun things to it. Like a lot of people are comparing it to like Skyrim or Bethesda game. I think that's a little generous. I'm not. I've become less and less of a fan of Bethesda over the years. I feel like their games are kind of overall declining in quality outside of like graphics and stuff. But that's a personal opinion that I hold. This game has a base level of fun to it that I enjoyed. It is on PC currently. They've discussed Blood Rebrassed. What is it on? They've talked about porting it, and I think if they did port it, it would be a very simple port. Like, maybe not programming-wise, but, like, mechanics-wise. Nothing about this could not be done with a controller and easily.
Cool.
God, it almost seems like I would love to have controller support on Valve.
They do have controller support.
Ooh.
They have like universal PS4 controller support now. It's iffy with some games, but they do their best. You just plug it in and you can play.
Wow. All right. That almost makes me want to...
You could probably play this on a controller.
Yeah.
There's got to be like a Steam controller template that someone has made for it.
Well, I mean, typically it just pastes over an Xbox controller. Like you'll see Xbox button prompts, but it'll just function with a PS4 controller. That's all. Overall, great game. It's $20. So if you're looking for a game that if you like the survival aspect, this building, this progression, for $20 you can't get better, I don't think. And there's a surprisingly large amount, considering the fact that it is early access, and they intend to keep updating it. Like this is the start of the Valheim journey.
I am very interested in this now that I've actually looked at it and heard you describe it. I'll either absolutely love it or I will absolutely hate it. Like 7 Days to Die, it was all right. It just...
Fair, and like again, your computer was a bit struggling with that.
Right.
I don't think it'll struggle as much with this.
No. If it's only 1 gig, I'm sure it's not using the same level of, my CPU or my GPU.
There are some problem spots with performance that I've heard. Like there are some poorly optimized areas, but again, it is early access. They should change that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're working on it, so you'll get more game for it.
Blood Reaper says they're porting Rust to PS4.
Yeah, and Rust is another one of those survival games. If they can do that, they can do it with Valheim easily.
And EC Ray says the Steam controller config tool is the best part of Steam, Edie.
One of the things that I will give it a lot of credit for is the building system. It's very basic and bare bones, but the way they use snapping and like placement, it'll snap to like corners and stuff, so that you don't have to kind of guess and like mess with that. Because I've played games where it doesn't do that, and it gets kind of jank if you mess up. But you can also, it's not super forceful with that snap, so you can freeform place stuff, which is nice. And there isn't collision detection on most of their building stuff, so you can mesh like where you need to and like put it where you need to. That all leads to like a system that functions really well. It's really well done for being basic.
Yeah, in that video we saw, that person seemed to have built an elaborate house full of portals, and it was pretty cool.
And you can do that relatively shortly, or you can really dive into it. I've seen recently today, I saw somebody building up like in a gigantic city. Like, it's fun. It's good. And I'm looking forward to the future of the game.
And Richard Rawl is in the chat, and I haven't seen that name in quite some time. He says, been listening since 2012, Nick and Edie. I love the show, always have. My claim to fame is playing the original Destiny with you two back in 2014.
I remember that.
I remember that too. God, we were so much younger. And I had so much more dark hair then.
I also love the Sword of Truth name. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
That's where his name comes from.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's a book series. Good one.
So
here, I thought it was his real name.
Maybe it is.
His real name is Richard. So, any other games?
Andrew? Clone?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Any
Hey, I am not a clone. Anyways, I've also been playing Star Wars: The Fallen Order. I've been working through that. That's an older game. You've played it, you've liked it. However, one thing I wanted to mention is I'm exploring and trying to get around and like get all the collectibles before I go and like do the ending of the game. And in that exploration, I found out, I was like, okay, if you jump, you get double jump. And then if you use your stasis attack on nothing, you can triple jump. It's like, okay, cool. That helped me get to some places while I was exploring. And then I found out on accident that if you do it again, it gives you another jump. Well, I just spammed it, and I learned that you can fly in the game. You can just literally spam the stasis attack and jump, and you will just never touch the ground again. So then I started to break the game because you start going into places that you're not supposed to be able to go back to, and the game doesn't like that. But fun game still. Almost done beating it.
Okay. And then...
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about Outriders. I was like, there's one more, right? Outriders released a demo that they're going to stay. It's going to stay on the stores indefinitely, from my understanding. Outriders is a new third-person shooter, power, kind of like a Destiny. It's going to be a loot grinding game. It comes out on April 1st. Promise. It's my first experience with it is a little torn. So the combat feels good enough. It's a basic shooter. I like the world, so you're a part of this group of humanity that left Earth because Earth was destroyed. It was
but they took their hats. They took their 10-gallon hats, though.
Oh yeah. You're one of 2 colony ships that set out from Earth, the only ones. The Earth was pretty much becoming barren. There's marauders, and like it had been essentially chaos. And you found this new planet. As you're traveling to the new planet, your other colony ship is destroyed, and you are sent down along with this group of outriders to kind of see what's down there, set up a forward base. When you're down there, you get attacked by a storm, and I'm spoiling the tutorial for you, so sorry. And this storm starts decimating people, starts killing people, and you get infected with its energy, and you end up getting frozen. And then your story takes place 30 years later when you wake up. Well, you find out that this storm gives certain people powers, whether by accident or whatever. I haven't gotten that far. And you were one of them. And what ended up happening was the ship had to land because it was out of fuel. And when it landed, it damaged their engine core. So they couldn't keep everyone in stasis. And there was 400,000 people. So they released them all at once. Well, the storm is like an outside barrier, so they're kind of stuck in this valley, and these 400,000 people didn't have enough supplies to,
survive.
And a war breaks out, and you're waking up 30 years later in the middle of this war. And that's kind of the story of how the game takes place. You end up having powers. You can choose one of 4 current sets. One's pyrokinesis, one's temporal, where you can teleport around and use time powers. One's techromancer, which allows you to throw a bunch of grenades. You can heal, stuff like that. And then there's an earth-based power. All of them looked fun. All of them were cool. One really cool thing about the game was the effects. I chose the temporal person and use this arm blade to hit people. When you use the ability, it disintegrates their skins, and you see their skeleton. Oh. And if they die, they explode and deal damage to people around them. But if they don't, their skin comes back and they start fighting again. And it looks really cool.
Okay.
If you burn somebody and they die from your fire, you'll see them literally turn to dust. So those are really cool animations. Yes, in the demo you can try all 4. You can get up to level 7, I believe. And it looks like there's multiple skill trees that you can pick up and adjust your character.
So I heard that the developer heard that people were farming the crap out of the demo to get high level items. And so they're like, we really don't want you farming this to give you an advantage when the game comes out. So let's not do that. We're going to remove the rewards for fighting the bosses. And then so many people complained. They're like, okay, we'll put it back in. So they've actually put it back in.
Neat.
In the demo.
Well, I think that's because from what I heard, your progress in the demo will carry over to the main game.
Right, exactly.
So it's not just if the demo was standalone, I assume they wouldn't care. But because it carries over, they're like, well, we have to think about the larger balancing.
So yeah, I heard about that too. Apparently someone had found a Destiny-esque loot cave, and that's something that you could farm up, and then there was Yeah, and then there was an exploit with one of the quests that you could get like 3 chests, and people were exploiting it, and they didn't want that. And if you do that and you get like all the best gear right away, it will mess up your progression when the game does fully launch. And so they're toning it back some. Whatever that means for like the final product, I don't know. Basic combat,
it looks cool.
My biggest issue with it is that it's animation and voice acting. Like the world, I like the idea of the world and like the story, but the animations kill me. They look stiff. The voice acting's a little rough.
Yeah.
But you can get over that. I mean, this is a game that's meant to be a loot grinder, not necessarily one that you're like, woo, story content. So take that as you will. The combat like felt good. It's a mix of cover shooter and like the powers. However, in the game, whenever you kill somebody, you gain life. So you don't want to really stay behind cover all that much. You mainly want to jump behind cover to like recharge your powers or if you run out of ammo. So it's kind of this frenetic, like aggressive gameplay that you can pull. But if you mess up too much, like you'll end up going down. Overall, it was pretty fun.
I want to try out this demo because this is from the team that made Bulletstorm, which was very much about getting in your face with the combat, and I think is probably one of the most fun and most underrated shooters of the 360 era. Or I think it came out on 360, and then they did a HD remake for PS4. Truly underrated game. Like the whole swearing and like dick tits dialogue gave it a bad rep, but it was super fun. And so I want to try this out because that team does good stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot to like here, and if you're into that kind of game, I think you might enjoy this. And like I said, there seems to be a lot of customization with like the powers, and eventually you'll reach a point where like there is a best case, as all games like this develop into, where it's like use these abilities if you want the most DPS. But I'm hoping that the customization is good.
The world looks really good. I know you're saying that the animations look stiff, but the world itself looks really cool.
Yeah, like, I mean, I didn't have a problem with the environmental like graphics or anything like that. Again, it's little things like in the beginning, you're walking around and going through the tutorial and you're talking to people, and it's just kind of either cheesy or just you look like they used a lot of mocap, like they could have.
Yeah.
I picked this up on PS4, but from my understanding, it will be crossplay. So if you pick it up on PC, you can play with like other people, and it's just toggling a switch, and it's a 3-person co-op game with drop-in, drop-out mechanics.
And what makes me particularly interested in this is it's a game about getting loot and all that, but from what the developers have said, it's not a live service game. It's not trying to be Destiny or Avengers or Division. It's like, hey, we made a 40-hour RPG that's just loot driven. So it's like Borderlands. You've kind of got a story that ends, but there's still a lot of loot to collect and stuff. But it's not this game that wants to take over your life like those other ones are. Okay,
that's cool to know. One thing I will say is that some of the loot actually looks really cool. Like, for instance, I got a gun that if you shot somebody in the head, it would cause them to bleed, and then if they died, it would explode and spread that bleeding to other people. Or like one that if you shot somebody and you hit them with an AoE power, like that would spread. So if you combine it with the fire abilities, you're suddenly spreading fire to everyone while mixing gun combat and power combat. Seems like they put an emphasis on making guns unique and kind of cool as far as effects go. That's been my experience with it. I haven't played it through, obviously, all the way, but if this was like a $40 or $50 game, I'd be all about that. And maybe that'll change as I get more into it, but it doesn't initially feel like a $60 AAA budget game.
Interesting.
But again, could be totally wrong. That's personal preference. Overall, try the demo. See what you think.
Okay, I'm going to try the demo.
And I'm glad that it has a demo. Like, I feel like a lot of games don't have demos.
I think that it's a sign of confidence that they would have a demo, and sometimes that confidence is well placed. Sometimes Marvel Avengers, it is not. But they will figure out very quickly that it is not. Either that, or will just be completely out of touch and not understand that what they've got is a problem. Marvel Avengers.
Well, here's the thing. When playing the Marvel Avengers beta, the thing that I found was that what you got in the beta or the demo was all you got in the game. Like, it didn't get better from there. Whereas in the Outriders demo, you only lock like 4 out of 9 abilities, and you can only have 3 active at once, maybe 4. And you have to swap them out for whatever you want, so you can adjust your gameplay that way. And I haven't got the chance to try that, so it feels like a demo.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I'm not getting everything or the max power out of the characters. And some of them are really strong abilities. For instance, the temporal person gets like a time stop bubble. If you just run into a group and use that, they are fucked. And it feels good. You feel strong. But if you have those abilities on cooldown and you're not playing it safe, you will die. So it's kind of this mix of like aggressiveness and then back off. And there's more to see that I'd be excited for.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this now. This is 2 games that I have heard much hype about, and both of them you've convinced me to jump into this week.
Great salesperson.
Yeah, so far so good. You don't always do that.
I could if I wanted. I could sell you dirt.
No, not exactly. AC Ray says demos have been coming back. Steam even has demo festivals. I'm guessing it's because discoverability is so low in general. Yeah, I won't disagree there. The marketplace has been so cluttered with so many games. It's hard for a publisher or developer even to get the word out and to differentiate themselves pre-sale so that they could show off their game. And yeah, I think that a demo is a very good way of doing it, especially when you've got something to be proud of, when you feel like you've got something.
Yeah, everyone's willing to try free.
Right, just as long as it doesn't come back and bite you in the ass. Marvel Avengers.
Well, that's their fault. And they only had a beta. They didn't have it for free.
Yeah.
They didn't have a demo. Like I said, this demo should stick around. Shouldn't go away, so don't feel like you have to buy it right now or try it right now. You can play it whenever you want. Whenever you want a new game.
So it won't be like the Neo demo, which I wonder if you can, the Neo beta, which I wonder if you can still download. Because I downloaded it and then started it and it said, oh, we're sorry, the demo period is ended.
No, I think it's nothing like that.
It's like, what the fuck did you let me download it?
Yep. So. All right. So anything else? Oops, sorry.
No, that's it for me.
All right.
I'm still working through 13 Sentinels. I'm still really enjoying it. I wanted to play it more, but I fell down the fucking JoJo anime hole. And it's a deep, exhausting, crazy hole. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the deep, crazy hole that is 13 Sentinels. Yeah, played more of it. Everything I've said before still sticks. It's like the way that they explain the story non-linearly makes small revelations feel like major twists, and it kind of allows the game to keep throwing unexpected things at you, and everything keeps getting interesting. I like the combat. It manages to feel the actual pace of it is fairly slow because it's turn-based, but the way things play out, it manages to feel really quick. Yeah, it's just a nice balance and fun game, interesting story, well-written characters. So yeah. But in addition to that, what I've found that I kind of end most nights playing is One Finger Death Punch 2 on the Switch. And I had played the original game on PC, and I think I also got the original game. It started has a 360. Remember the 360 specifically had like an indie games tab or an indie games marketplace that was kind of set off from the other marketplace. And that's where I originally found One Finger Death Punch. And so now with 2, they're kind of on all the major storefronts. I got it on Switch. I also ended up buying it on PlayStation just this week because it was on sale for $5. And I've sung the praises of One Finger Death Punch in the past, and the second one is still really good. I think I might have talked about the second one on here because I did play it a lot on the Switch before, but I still think it is like one of the greatest action games ever made. It manages to capture the feeling of like a really cool kung fu fight with just simple controls. You just hit left and right, and that's it. And guys come at you on screen, and you have to wait until they're within your range before you attack. Otherwise, you miss. And that's kind of the worst thing you can do is miss. That's what really affects your score at the end. Getting hit doesn't. And that's kind of part of the cool thing about the game is that it just seems to really understand, what makes for a good martial arts fight. And that's a back and forth. You get hit, they get hit, you fight your way through, 50 guys, 50 just, minions, and then you get to a boss, and it's like, oh, this boss is going to be a little tough. And yeah, it just manages to do something really simple, but make it feel grandiose. And like, what I think is really cool about it, the game seems to have this philosophy of we want you to feel like a badass. We want this fight to feel like the climactic martial arts fight of a martial arts movie. And everything they do fits into that regard. And so as you're watching it play out on the screen, in the upper left, there's a manual speed and bonus speed. And what that means is manual speed is if you play a level and you do really well, the game gets faster. And it will keep getting progressively faster until you fail, and then it will lower the speed. And bonus speed, maybe it's the other way around, but bonus speed is as you play through a level, you'll kill a guy, and that will increase the speed. And so the level gets progressively more difficult with the more people you kill. And combining those two things together, the game actually continually adjusts its own difficulty to fit your exact skill level. And so a lot of levels, if I'm doing really well and I play a level and I get my ass kicked, it's like, oh, shit, I died. But then I start that level over and the speed has been lowered, and so I'll play through it and I'll pass it because it just got a little bit easier. So the game is constantly adjusting that for you. And even in the middle of the game, if you watch carefully, when the enemies come at you from the side, they come in really fast, but then there's just a little brief pause when they're within your range. When they're right on top of you, and hi cat. When they're right on top of you and they're about to hit you, they pause for just a half second, even less than a quarter of a second. They pause to just give you that briefest of moments to hit them. It's not interested. Unlike Dark Souls, which is a game that's these are the rules of the game. You either adapt or die. This game is these are the rules of the game. We will constantly fudge them to make you feel like a kick-ass badass. And it's really cool because everything about the game drives that home. It's we want you to feel like, John Wick at the end of the movie fucking people up. And it's just that. And it executes on that idea so perfectly in every aspect of its design. I love it. It's so simple, but I think it shows that simple is really complex because, it's a simple 2-button game. That's it. But then it adds all these little mechanics and all these subtle little touches throughout, to drive home that feeling, that power fantasy. And it means that the simplicity of the mechanics are deceptive because the design of it, what they thought about as they were making it, they thought a lot about, the feel of playing it. And so I think it's not a deceptively complex game in the controls, but in the design. And it just goes to show a truly simple game is really hard to make. But they pull it off, and it's really cool.
It looks like a fun game to watch as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely say, as I'm playing it, you get into this rhythm game-esque mode where I just kind of see the colors, and I'm just looking at the logos on the bottom. Like, I'm not even looking at the animation. I just see, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And so I'm not even thinking about watching it. But now, since I don't have to play it and I can watch it, it's like, the animation's actually really cool. And there are some moments, to the game's benefit about making you feel cool, where if you're getting really overwhelmed, it will take a moment to pause and show you your character doing like a really cool move with like, he's got a double-bladed thing. So he like spins it around and hits a guy a couple times and then kicks him away. And it's just a moment of pause, show this cool little flourish, kick the guy away, and then go back to the crazy action. Yeah. Awesome game.
Yep. Sounds like it. So anything else before we move on to the news? AC Ray says, I still haven't seen a John Wick movie. I haven't.
They're good.
They are good. Okay. I can at least forgive you. Look, they are a specific type of movie, right? Yeah. They are like a martial arts action movie.
If you're looking for action like movie condensed, it is perfect.
If you like that, then it's a sin against who you are to not see it. You're only hurting yourself. If you don't like it, that's fine. Like, you can skip it.
Yeah, you're not going to get strong romance, like romantic comedy vibes from this movie.
It's just, if you want like a really impressively choreographed fight scene, that's what those movies excel at. Okay. And I like those type of movies.
Good. So what we should do is we should watch all of the John Wick movies and like stream it in Discord, and then stream all of the Marvel movies because Edie hasn't seen them all.
I haven't seen
any. That is genuinely impressive, considering how many there are now. That's a decade almost of movies.
Haven't seen a single one.
Wow.
And they're all on Disney Plus now. So,
but Disney Plus, see, that's my problem. I am boycotting Disney Plus.
Well, AC Wraith wants that.
Because of Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones et al. They took away everything off of Netflix that Netflix was doing really, really well, and then they're not going to continue with them. They just took them back.
They might. They're all rumors that like Matt Murdock is going to appear in a couple things.
Matt Murdock appearing in a couple things isn't making Daredevil. That's not the same thing. That is like, you've been walking in the desert for years and you need some food. Here, have a thimble full of soup. That's not going to do it. You destroyed the soup kitchen, and then you replace it with like a little teeny tiny, a little like Dixie cup full of soup, and says, "See, we didn't get rid of it. We might do more. We might make more soup." No.
I didn't mind that so much because I feel like those Netflix Marvel shows lost more as they went along. Like they all started off pretty well.
Some of them.
It was like,
But I think that I did not hate how many of them progressed. I actually enjoyed them because I saw those characters grow in different ways that weren't expected. I actually really liked Luke Cage. I really, really liked Luke Cage. And I liked both seasons.
Second season, the last episode of the second season is one of the most god-awful, frustrating things I've ever watched. Any superhero thing I've watched, I hated it so much.
For which one?
The last episode of Luke Cage season 2 retroactively ruins that season. For me, at least.
Yeah, no, I liked where it was going when like you're fighting against evil and what happens when you become it. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the last season of Jessica Jones a lot.
I don't think I ever actually saw the third season of that show.
There were the moral implications of like, okay, so you're a superhero. So what happens when you become a superhero, and how do you deal with that? It's far more of the boys than the boys would like to think. And I loved the boys. I like to ask these kind of moralistic questions of superheroes. And all of them dealt with that. With the only exception was Iron Fist, and that was terrible from day one and did not get better.
Season 2.
I thought it did.
Season 2
Didn't
is
like season
better.
2 any better. It's better.
Really?
It's better. Yeah. I mean, instead of being shit soup, it was piss soup. Slightly better, but still not something I would order at the kitchen.
See, I like Danny Rand as like a side character. Like,
he's a great side character. He is a great comic foible that, you know, like he's just this. When they had, I forget what episode of which show, when everybody got together and pretty much everybody was rolling their eyes at him, that was a genius moment to have him. He is the reason for everybody else to have an eye roll. I believe it might have been, was it Luke Cage or was it actually his own show when everybody got together and they were just kind of like,
it may have been Defenders.
It might have been.
I would have loved yes, that's what it was. To see more Defenders.
Defenders was another great show.
I would have loved to see another team up with them because that was the entire point of those 4 shows was to make Defenders. Yes. And I would have. They had no plans for a season 2 of it.
Yes, and all of it was so many places to go and so rich and full of so many possibilities. And Disney came in and said, "No, you can't have it." And we're not going to do anything with it, but you just can't have it. It's like, well, they're only doing good for you. They're making me, who is not a Marvel fan, interested in Marvel. But you putting them all on Disney Plus does not make me want to go there.
To be a corporate shill for a moment, I understand that if Disney bought Marvel, like that pre-existing contract finishes, but unless Netflix wants to make a contract that they both can profit from, however that ends up being, like they'll take it off their platform. It's not just Disney Plus's fault. It's also Netflix for not wanting to sell it.
Yeah. AC Ray says, I've seen the first Iron Man, the first Captain America, and the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, I stand corrected. I have seen a Marvel movie. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy because Kevin worked on it. That's the only reason why.
You saw a good one.
I saw a very good one.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Movie. I thought it was okay.
But I will say, not necessarily in defense of Disney, but in Netflix's criticism, they have a habit of canceling good shit. Fuck Netflix and their like trigger happy cancellation button. I remember the good old days when it was like, oh, Netflix is going to save this series that got canceled. And now they're like, oh, you love this series? Fuck you. We're going to cancel after 3 seasons.
And you know who's doing that now is Amazon. Amazon is now saving series.
What I think it is Netflix is willing to take risks way more than like other studios. But at the same time, they are just as quick to like throw it away if they think, well, this isn't going to work out. Gone. Just done.
See, if you're gonna do that, then at least structure the show so that it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. You know, take a risk and make it like a somewhat self-contained arc. I'm bitter about Santa Clarita Diet.
Yes, same. That ending pissed me off.
Hated that show. Oh God, couldn't. I tried to like that.
What? That's one of my favorite shows on Netflix.
Hate that show.
So good.
Hey, Brian, real quick, just so that I can answer his question. Yes.
How's the truck? What happened?
He had the truck accident. He had a car accident.
Yeah. Eventually, I got my insurance payment, and then I went and basically got my blinker and headlight fixed, and that was like the only thing I fixed. And that cost me like $60, and I got like a $1,400 insurance check, so I'm fine. It runs. It's working.
Yep. Netflix. AC Ray says Netflix saved Lucifer. I guess not that I subscribe to keep watching. Yeah. Amazon saved The Expanse.
Yes,
which was money.
They're ending it.
Fucking spent.
They're ending it, but at least it's like, oh, the ending is coming up. We know it. We're not just gonna cancel it out of the blue.
They're not gonna Firefly it.
Yeah.
Still the Santa Clarita Diet, huh? Like, just
so
forever.
Still better. Okay, I want to know if Richard Rutherford has seen that show. Please comment in the chat because Netflix keeps recommending me Alice in Borderland.
Me too.
And I don't want to see it because I think that's a really dumb title.
I don't hate the title.
I think it's really bad, and every time I see it, I'm just like, no, fuck you, Netflix. I'm not gonna watch it. But I don't know.
I have not seen it, but I will make an effort this week, Richard, because why not? In between everything else I'm doing these days, I will find some time to watch that. Actually, I've been watching for the second time a show that you guys would probably find funny, but you probably would never watch. It's a show. It's now complete, called Episodes, and
I've heard that with Joey.
Yes, Matt LeBlanc. Fucking hilarious. Oh my God. Fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. Like,
not even heard of it.
Surprisingly hilarious.
So you'd say it's as funny as Santa Clarita Diet?
It is so much funnier than Santa Clarita Diet.
It's just not possible.
No.
It is. Oh, so much. Oh, it's so fucking funny. And we had run out of things to watch, and Kevin and I had finished up with Plebs. We watched a show that was on, it was all right. It was good. It was like a very, very good student film, or like a college student film, like graduate student. But it was on Geek and Sundry called LARPs, which was actually really quite good. But you have to remember that it is not polished. It does not have Hollywood polish on it, but it is a really good show. And then I saw episodes. They're like, do you want to watch it again? I'm like, crap, Kevin hasn't watched that. So I'm rewatching the show. Just as funny the second time around, even though I know it's going to happen. God, it's good.
So you're saying we should add that to the list of marathoning all the Marvel movies, right?
Oh yes, we should definitely marathon.
And in the chat, Richard came back and said that Borderlands was the best show he'd seen in a long time. So shit, maybe I'll give that a chance.
He says use the original Japanese audio with subtitles though.
I can't stand any show that has like dubbed over live action stuff.
Really?
It hurts me. Like
I always get used to it.
Some of them are better than others. Some of them are definitely better than others. There's a show on Netflix called Nobody's Looking, Nobody's Watching. That's out.
I forgot about that one. You recommended that a while ago, and I want to see it. That totally slipped my mind.
Watch it. Also, really, really good and totally underappreciated.
And I remember the other show you suggested had a good dub, the drugs one. How to sell drugs online.
Oh, fast. That's right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes. That has also a very good dub.
I'll say the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has a fun dub because almost every character has a like over the top European accent in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be an English accent, an Italian accent, a Spanish accent, German accent. It's like, okay.
All right, so can we move on to news, please? God,
yeah, we were. We were talking about news. What? We were in the news section,
God,
and we got on the fucking Netflix TV.
Jesus,
don't act like it's our fault.
Yes, you started this by talking about the Marvel Netflix thing.
I can't do anything with you people. All right, let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, music, commentary with the weekend gaming of the weekend gaming with Gamer Edie, Nick DiNicola, and Andrew Smith. And the first item is above the fold, please, Nick. Above the fold stories first.
Okay, well, I mean, this is an above the fold one for me.
Mm-hmm.
An Elden Ring trailer leaked online recently.
That would be above the fold.
And it wasn't a full like professionally put together trailer. It was really more like 4 separate clips. Like one was part of a trailer, one was an actual like video camera of someone playing the game, like someone had their phone and recorded a TV playing. And so it's like these 4 different clips that have now, you can find it online, of like edited together in a way that you can see. And at first, like, this is really cool because, hey, the game is still in development. We probably haven't heard a lot about it because there's probably been some COVID delays that, they just haven't announced. It's good that they didn't announce a release date in the past because it probably would have been pushed back because of COVID. But some of the things that we see in the trailer are neat. And especially from the studio that, brought a bunch of Dark Souls. You see a guy on a horse riding around and actually hitting people from the horse. A guy really sneaking up behind an enemy, like there's some sort of genuine stealth mechanics, kind of like Sekiro. And just overall, a sense of a much bigger world, which this is, they say, an open world game. And so that'll be really interesting to see how they do that. And one of the things they seem to be doing is like really playing up the size of everything. Everything just looks fucking bigger than it's been in the past of these games. And yeah, I'm interested to see exactly how they do it. And the idea of like attacking from a horse kind of adds a whole new dimension to combat, considering this is a studio that, has really focused on the intricacies of like sword play and, the back and forth of a fight, to kind of, now you're on a horse and you can attack people, is kind of a departure. But it's also just good to see that the game is still coming along, because it's been a while since we heard something out of it.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, I won't be picking it up. It's not my kind of game, but you love that Sekiro. You love the Dark Souls. So this is, your thing.
It'll be the game of the year for whatever year it comes out.
Whenever it comes out. All right. So my next item is that Crystal Dynamics has made a very curious decision. I don't quite understand, and I am not alone. So we all know Marvel Avengers is out, and it is not received well. One of the things that everyone says is it turns into a pretty good game when your character is completely leveled up and you have all of your skills. Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix it was Crystal Dynamics made an announcement this week that they were going to be making some adjustments to the Marvel Avengers in the next patch, and this is going to coincide with the release of Hawkeye, the new character. And in that announcement, I'm pulling it up right now. That's why I'm kind of talking a little slow. So in the announcement, they say that they're going to be doing some cosmetic adjustments and an XP rework. And part of that, they said, current XP curve isn't really a curve at all. In most RPGs, the amount of XP you need to level up increases as you gain levels in a curve, but in our system, it's a straight line. This has led to pacing issues, such as skill points currently being rewarded too fast, which may be confusing and overwhelming for new players. I have never once in my life ever heard of a new player to a game saying, yeah, I'm kind of leveling up too fast. That's one of the good things about being a new player is you get more skills quickly and it gets harder at the end. But instead,
whenever you play like a new RPG or shooter, and you're like, I'm leveling up really fast. And then I've always noticed it's around level 30 that it's like, I'm not leveling up as fast as I used to. And then it's like, I kind of fall off.
Right. Well, in this case, they say, this has led to let's see. We want each decision to invest in a skill or heroic to be more meaningful. Based on these issues, we'll be increasing the amount of XP needed to level up, starting from around level 25. This amount will increase the closer you get to level 50, so it will take longer to reach the higher levels and will only affect character level, not power level. So this might be acceptable if in a game where it's a fun game to play all the way through. But Marvel Avengers, one of the things everybody says is it really doesn't get to be truly fun. You don't get this like really deep combat until you get to level 50 and get all of your skills.
Well,
they're turning a game that is already grindy, because it's not much fun to play until you get to the end, till you max out your character. They're making it more grindy.
I've heard kind of the opposite, that like the one thing people have always praised about Avengers is the campaign. It's like, yeah, that's what Crystal Dynamics does well, and that's what Avengers does well. It's a good campaign. By the time you get through that campaign, I think you're like level 20 or 25. Like, you should be around there. The problem is that they're making the grindy part, they're increasing the grind on specifically the part of the game where you're done with the campaign and now you just have to replay stuff. And it's like, that's the part of the game specifically that everyone had criticized, in that there is no end game content, and the stuff that you're forced to replay over and over again to get to those higher levels is just boring and repetitive. And so that is the part that they're stretching out. They're stretching out the worst part, grindy, repetitive part of the game. And it's like, no.
Right.
What's worse is that they gave the excuse that, like, it's so that the players don't get confused.
What?
And this
is
means
that
one
not
of
insulting? I'm
right,
sorry.
That it's either one, your player base is old enough that it is incredibly condescending.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are questioning the intelligence of your player, and it's just skill points, right? Just putting those skill points into whatever you want. And or two, like, your remaining player base is kids who like to play Marvel superheroes.
Also, from what I've played of the game, and I've played enough of it to know, like, at its heart, it is a beat 'em up. The skills that you get do not really significantly change the way you play. It is not a deep RPG where you're going to get this skill and it's going to, like, oh, this is great, it's going to change what I do. It's like, no, instead of XXXY, I'm getting XXXYY.
Yeah. Which is, it's that combat system I despise for the most part, which is why I never got into Godfall. And that upsets me, because if anyone was curious, that's basically Godfall's combat, is every weapon has the same XXYY combos. And just side tangent with that one. But that was the worst part about the Avengers game, was just that weak combo system.
Right. So we are not the only ones to have pointed out that this is a terrible decision. Immediately, Crystal Dynamics caught a huge amount of shit for this all over the interwebs, and it prompted them to clarify what they meant by when they said what they said or wrote what they wrote on Reddit. And the Reddit explanation, not much better. So they said, currently, as you get to higher levels, the XP required between levels didn't scale well, but your ability to crush enemies certainly does speed up at higher levels. So you could end up dinging 2 to 3 times per mission, with the missions taking about 10 to 20 minutes in length. So what's the problem? This is great, you might say. The problem we were seeing and hearing is that you would immediately get more skill points than you had time to review, apply, and get used to before embarking on your next mission and gaining your next few levels. Hopefully you can see the issue here. We want people to level up. In fact, we really want to see more people level up more heroes, as playing the full Avenger roster should be the most fun thing you can do. And we don't want the leveling up experience to be too overwhelming or diminish exploring each skill purchase.
I think it's bullshit. I think it's literally, we don't have enough game and we want to make more game.
Right. Right.
We only have 6 characters, 7 with the new incoming one. That's only so much playtime with leveling up. We want to extend that.
Right. And they tried to diminish about the increased amount of XP by saying that this tuning was meant to add around 3 to 5 hours to each of the maximum level in total, to reach the maximum level in total.
So if you take that with all the characters, you have 6, 7 coming up, 21 to like 30 extra hours of gameplay. It's bullshit.
Right. It's essentially, they've caught a lot of hell for this not being a fully fleshed out game. It doesn't have enough gameplay.
Enough content.
There's not enough content to start off with. Now they're extending the amount of play that is required to get to the fun part in a game that doesn't have enough combat. So it immediately they say that they want more people to start playing this and enjoying it, and then they start making it more difficult for you to actually get to the point where you enjoy it by 30 hours instead of actually issuing more content to make what you're doing more fun, to get the journey from 0 to 50 to be more enjoyable. They just, rather than say that and they call a lot of hell for like, it's too short a game. Okay, we'll just extend the game before you get a whole new character. And it does lead me to believe that I think that there's not going to be much when this new character, Hawkeye, coming in. Everybody's talking about, there's going to be so much more. Yeah, I'm guessing that's another reason why they did it. There's not enough there. There's not enough in this patch.
Yeah,
and so they're trying to falsely, to kind of artificially extend the game to make it seem longer, but it's not actually a longer game. It just takes you longer to make the journey.
This could have been a great game. It could have. And it fell apart, and they are trying whatever they can to keep people around longer.
Yep.
Yeah, from what I have heard, because I have a friend who follows this game closely, like, they got hit really hard by COVID, and that really screwed with a lot of their development. But even now, they've hit some sort of pipeline problem that they just have not been able to resolve, because the game came out and they had advertised there was supposed to be basically a new character each month. The first month was a patch, second month was a patch, third month, December or January, I think that's when Kate Bishop came out. And then it's like, well, okay, maybe now that they're on to this DLC character, they'll start putting out a DLC character a month. No. February, they didn't do anything. March, Hawkeye's coming out maybe the end of March, possibly. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So
March 18th, I believe, as they said. And by the way, if you are playing now, that all these new XP changes don't happen until March 18th. And they say if you got a level 50 character by March 18th, you're fine. So people are absolutely, if they're still into it, grinding as hard as they can so they can get up to level 50 before this new XP, which is not a really good way to boost your stats.
Yeah. And so I don't know what the production of this game is like, because I can understand them having an unfinished game, a buggy game, and then being hit with COVID, making that worse and trying to patch all that after the fact. That makes sense. We've seen that happen with a bunch of other games. But to be this far after the fact and still have some sort of pipeline issue, it seems like it should have been resolved by now.
I think that the greatest thing that ever happened to Crystal Dynamics was Cyberpunk 2077. Because were it not for that game, they would still be hearing the screaming from their fan base about what a terrible job they've done. And I think that they have taken the fact that that nobody's complaining nearly as much as a sign that they're doing a good job. And they're not. We're just distracted by a much worse car accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And all this is because has Vice Ravana in the chat says live service. It's all in service of being a live service game, which makes me happy that Outriders has specifically said, fuck that. We're not going to try to do that.
Right. Yeah, and I guess that's another good reason for Marvel Avengers existence, is that it has dispelled a lot of business people in the game industry their incorrect assumption that if it's a live service, it will make more money.
Uh-huh.
Well, all you have to do is tack on a live service to any old piece of shit and it will bring in the money. It absolutely will not.
No,
Between this and Anthem, I think that bears out the proof. You actually have to make a good game, and single player games can make money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about like just making money though. It's about making more money, like from that purchase, that initial $60 purchase. And I think with certain games, like when you get a highly competitive game where the progress is skill based, where you're constantly trying to get better, something like League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, any of those type of games, they perpetuate themselves. Like there is a personal growth mechanic there. But something like Destiny, or in this case Avengers, that in-game content and that gear grind is what people are after with live service games.
Right.
If you don't offer that, you won't get retention.
And that's tough, because that basically means the grind is content. And so both of those games had issues with content, because it's like the whole point of those games is to burn through content as fast and efficiently as possible. And so,
right.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard to make content.
I loved Vice's
genre.
I love Vice's comment. He says, quote, "You have spoken and we have listened. With the next patch, every player will receive a package of matchsticks, which you may now shove under your fingernails."
Good old Avengers knowing where it's at.
Yeah.
That just sounds painful.
It is.
But yeah, so clearly, fire.
New players are having a very difficult time, so we are giving them all matchsticks to shove under their fingernails.
This will add
They're
4 or
very
5 hours of
confused.
gameplay, because it will be harder to use the controller.
Exactly. We are adding content by making it impossible for you to actually, touch the buttons.
But yes, dumpster fire, that is Avengers.
Yeah. So that's definitely an above the fold. What's your above the fold, Andrew?
I'm not exactly sure what the fold is.
Above the fold is a term that refers to news. Like, newspapers are folded in half. And so all of like the big headlines are above the fold of the newspaper. So when it sits in a newsstand, I know, what's a newspaper? Fuck you. But back in the day, when the newspapers folded in half and it was, put into the little rack, you could only see everything from the fold up. So the above the fold stories were the ones that were the really big stories that would make you buy the newspaper.
Ooh. I don't know if I have any of those, but I do have one for you, Edie, that I'll bring up about Crusaders Kings 3.
That's above the fold for me, baby.
Okay. So yes, as the title
everybody's fold is different.
Crusader Kings 3, if you like the game or if you enjoy watching it, is coming out with patch 1.3.
Yeah, that's a big
and this one, they're adding some new mechanics and some things. For instance, some new features like winters are going to be more brutal and impactful in certain regions. But the biggest thing is they're adding poetry mechanics to the game.
I know.
What?
I just love that poetry mechanic.
So there's already poetry in the game, but they're expanding upon it, giving it as a trait to the leaders. And you can practice your poetry about various topics, including such as romance, legacy, strife. And there's more. And you can make your own masterpieces. This will have obvious effects with like your other counterparts in like diplomacy. But if you're enterprising young chap, you can actually use it to torture people. And they'll come up and they'll be like...
Vogue on poetry.
They'll walk up and be like, "Listen, I'm going to share with you some of my best stuff," and it'll be terrible, and you can torture people with it.
I just love that. It's the concept of the Vogue on poetry. From Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Remember that they tortured them by making them sit through the poems, and it was known that it was essentially a method of torture.
So, I mean, if you're looking forward to it, if you're looking for just more fun content, looks like they got your back on this one.
Oh yeah, they do a really nice job with that game, and there are patches that are thoughtful. They know their player base, they understand how their players play, and they are adding depth of content as opposed to just making it more difficult to play. So now it's a longer game.
That game does not need to be longer.
No, it doesn't. But that's all right. We still love it.
But yeah, that's just a fun one I thought you'd appreciate, Edie. And anyone who watches you stream. They can hear your poetry now.
I will read that poetry. I will write some truly awful poetry. All right, so next item. Nick, you're up.
Okay. EA has done a little bit of shifting with the developers of two of its biggest franchises. They've basically taken Criterion off of Need for Speed to put them on to Battlefield 6. And so as a result, Need for Speed is going to get pushed back. So there's not going to be any Need for Speed game this year. It's pushed back to 2022, which is just kind of interesting because Need for Speed used to be a yearly franchise, and then it was a big deal when it took a year off, and now I think it's taken 2 years off, which is all good because a lot of those new games just haven't been very compelling. But putting them on Battlefield 6, I think, is a good idea because DICE has been hitting out of the park recently, I think, with their Battlefield games. And they didn't put out a new one last year. I think it's been about they have been like on a rotating basis. Like for a while it was Battlefield, then Battlefront, Battlefield, then Battlefront, and then Battlefront 2 came out and caused a whole bunch of commotion. But they've actually done an impressive job of like supporting that game after the fact with DLC and new content.
It's a fun game.
And so that's why they never put out a Battlefront 3, but it's time for a new Battlefield. And so I think we can probably expect a new Battlefield this year, and that's why they put Criterion on it, because they're kind of staffing up to get that game out the door this year. And given a choice between those two franchises, I think they made the right choice.
I did too.
Especially because they just bought Codemasters, remember?
Right.
So,
Codemasters is known for their racing games. I can throw Codemasters onto Need for Speed.
Or even just have Codemasters keep making one of their racing games. Like they have a dedicated racing studio now that has like full of racing IPs. They can ignore Need for Speed for another extra year or two.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I just think in general, like racing games have not been super popular. And they're kind of out of style right now. And what you want to do is maybe like let the market cool down on them and then come back later in like a year or two with something truly fantastic. Like put a lot of work into it. And go ahead.
Sorry, I was the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit remake that they came out with. That game's really fun, and it's like a reminder that, you know, open world and racing doesn't necessarily go together. Just give me a fun track and fun racing. But that game is a lot harder than I remember it being. That game is fucking brutally difficult. Some of the races, like you need to take those curves perfectly and at a speed that is truly frightening. So yeah, that's a difficult game, and I feel like a lot of the future Need for Speed games have been maybe afraid of being that difficult.
Right.
And that might be what's held them back.
Personal skill is also a big thing with racing games, I find. Like, if you put more to emphasize, like, you know, ghost track, stuff like that, where you're playing against yourself rather than necessarily other people or AI, because AI aren't usually that much fun. But if you can improve your skill more, that'll be a driving factor that I think has been lost on driving like racing games lately. I mean, I don't play too many, so Nick, you might have to let me know, but that emphasis on getting better doesn't seem to be as important.
Yeah, I think what's always bothered me about some of the modern Need for Speed racing games is the last one I played, there was just this issue with the AI and the rubber banding where like I had a souped up car and I was racing against people whose levels, like the car level was lower than me, and they were still leaving me in the dust, like during some laps. And I couldn't figure out like, what am I supposed to do to get better to complete this race? And they've continually added like new systems and stuff on top of it. So like, you know, the whole process of upgrading your car in one of the recent games is like loot box based. With in-game, it was like in-game currency loot boxes, but it's like this isn't really all that fun. This kind of sucks. And it's just like a lot of things like that. I do think the best modern Need for Speed game was the one that came out with the PS4 the year that was released, Need for Speed Rivals, because it had an open world game, which is okay, but it had a neat system of, racing and getting cops on you and like pushing your luck and then like going into a base and banking all your points. And I know one of the more recent games tried a similar system like that, but it wasn't executed as well as Rivals did. And so it's like you had this cool system in a good game and you repeated it, but you did it worse. So, yeah, I feel like they just need to. And also, a lot of the modern Need for Speed games are really into tuning of like, this part of your car is going to increase the handling this much. This is going to do it this much. And one of the things I liked about the Hot Pursuit remake is it's just, this car is faster. I unlocked a new car. Okay, that one has a higher top speed. I'll use that one instead. Instead of like I don't want to play a Need for Speed game and worry about tuning. That's a much heavier sim mechanic, and
that's
it doesn't
Forza or a
yeah,
Gran Turismo.
And it doesn't necessarily feel in place in what should be a kind of casual arcade racer. But I feel like over the years, the casual arcade racer has increased in complexity to the point where it's no longer a casual arcade racer.
I have to imagine that's because of the yearly release cycle. Like, every year you push it out, you have to innovate it in some way.
Yeah, you've got to add something to it to make it distinct.
Then it just becomes Madden.
Yeah. I mean, if you wait like a few years, like I was saying, you can come back and kind of get back to basics, but have that updated graphics, make it look amazing, and people will come to it. Like, they'll come back for the reasons they loved it.
They should just make Need for Speed Burnout and give us like some next-gen ray-traced car debris crumpling physics.
I want to play Burnout. I went back and played that like a couple years ago, and it is still just a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
That is the like quintessential. You are a kid and you're smashing cars together, and it is amazing.
All right. So next item, it'd be mine. What is my next item? Would be next above the fold would be that's not one. I'm going to leave that one for Nick because I know he's got it. Oh, the Sinking City. Oh, that one is tough. So it's a bit of a long story. Hopefully I will be able to do it justice. So Frogwares is a company that has done a bunch of games, including the Sinking City, and they've also got a Sherlock Holmes game coming out. They were in an agreement with a company called Nacon. Nacon was the publisher of the Sinking City. Frogwares was the developer. And this week, the story that was weird to start off with got really weird. Frogwares had to file a DMCA takedown notice with Valve on its own game because the publisher, Nacon, went and found they downloaded a retail copy of the game, cracked it using their game key, and removed all mention in the game of upcoming games and Frogwares, and then uploaded it to Valve to sell as a genuine copy. So the story goes like this. Frogwares, Nacon get into an agreement. Nacom's going to publish the game. They're in France. As the minute that Sinking City comes out on consoles, Nacon stops paying Frogwares. There was an agreement in this contract that Frogwares would get bonuses based on downloads and sales. Nacon says, no, we're not doing that. Frogwares like, what the fuck? Of course you are doing that. You are way behind. And Nacon's like, yeah, we're not going to send you the money. So Frogwares goes to court. and says, yeah, fucker, you cannot do that. We have an agreement. Frogware Nacom goes to court and says, well, you can't really cancel our contract because COVID-19, and there's these rules about in France that you couldn't break business contracts because of COVID-19 that was as a protection for some companies. Frogwares goes, fucker, you cannot use COVID-19 as an excuse. You're doing better. Games have actually exploded during COVID-19. French court agrees with them and says, yes, you're right. It is not applicable. Contract is canceled. Frogwares then says, okay, so they can't sell the game. And Nacom goes, oh, yes, we can. Judge says, all right, we're going to meet again at a later date to see if they can sell the game. Nacon then goes to Games Planet, downloads a copy off of Games Planet, cracks the copy, removing all comments of all logos from Frogwares. They removed the promotional advertisements for Frogwares' upcoming game, Sherlock Holmes, a bunch of other stuff, and then goes to Valve and says, oh, here's the game, upload it, and you can start selling this now. Frogwares sees this and goes, what the fuck? This is not only our game, it's a hacked copy of our game. Our publisher is selling a hacked copy of our game. So, of course, they had to file a DMCA takedown notice on their own game to get that game off of there. And now they're going to go to court again, and it is not a good look for Nacom.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good look. I can't imagine any developer ever getting into a contract with Nacom after this. I don't know what they were thinking, how they could so destroy their own business and their own reputation by pulling this shit.
My guess is one of two things. A, they didn't care, or B, they didn't think they'd get caught. Like, they either wanted the money right now and they didn't care about like the risks or anything like that, or
that is such a short game to play. It really is. It's like, oh, well, we might make a couple $1 million here, and you'll never get another contract from another independent developer ever.
Depends if they even want to stay in business. I don't really know what IPs they have.
I don't know what IPs they have either.
I actually just looked up some of their games.
Nacon?
It seems like they were putting out that new Vampire the Masquerade game.
Didn't I see something about that's...
Yeah, the developer got removed. And it's basically, I think, they're starting over with a different developer.
So did this happen before or after like all of this unfolded?
Before. That happened like a month or so ago.
Then they might be like setting.
I don't know if Nacon is the publisher starting getting a new developer. I'll have to look that up. But then there was a recent Werewolf the Apocalypse game that came out. They published that. A bunch of like sports games, handball, tennis, Monster Truck Championship.
The Werewolf game, I didn't play it, but I watched a friend of mine, Jay the Game Guru, play that. That game was cool because you got to play a werewolf, but it seemed cheaply made. Like, it didn't seem next gen. Like, it seemed like a early 360 game as far as like graphics went and like the voice acting and all of that stuff. Judging from these games, this did not look like a good publisher.
Yeah, and I guess Frogwares has had other problems in the past with publishers. It was who mentioned it in the chat room? Vice mentioned that they've had some really shite luck with their partners. They also had another game that was partnered. It was either this game or another game that they were partnered with that also just did terrible things. Man, whoever is picking their publishers.
Well, I mean, I think we can all agree that like what Namco did is like shitty.
Oh, like shitty on a whole new level.
Like, it's companies like this should be shut down, and I mean, maybe they will be if they can't get any more contracts. I think this might be an issue of developers need more protections. Like this, publishers have way too much power over developers, and this might be a good example of that and a way to kind of start a conversation about giving developers more rights and freedoms from their publisher.
Yeah. So what I'd say Vampire the Masquerade. Turns out Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is the one everyone was looking forward to. That then that the publisher of that is Paradox Interactive, which is like a very well-known and well-respected like a strategy games publisher. They removed the developer Hardsuit Labs off of the project.
Right.
And now that game is delayed indefinitely. Nacon is publishing something called Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, which is not Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. I don't know what Swan Song is, but on the website it just says coming soon.
That sounds like a copyright infringement coming soon.
Or they just made a deal with Vampire the Masquerade, and it's just they're putting out another game to kind of capitalize on the popularity of Bloodlines 2.
Well, that's kind of going away then.
It seems like some really shitty people working there. Like breaking contracts, we don't feel like paying you, trying to going in front of a judge and essentially lying that it was because of COVID-19.
And they should have the money.
I mean, bullshit on them.
It was obviously royalties, right? So unless they pulled something like,
well, it was bonuses. They refused to pay the bonuses, and they said we've paid more than 10 million euros to date on it. It's like, yeah, you paid more than that's called the developer. I mean, that's what publishers do.
It's not like there was a cap to it. You keep paying as long as it keeps selling.
As long as it keeps selling, right? You're paying points based on sales, and that's the bonus that everybody gets for making a good game. That's how it works.
Unless, like, that's the thing. I don't know. Unless they put that money that they should have given out into like failing projects, so that they don't have the money, or they've mismanaged or otherwise taken the money for themselves.
Yeah,
they should have that money.
To you, they did that. Either that, or they've hid it away that no one can get to it, and saying, "Oh, we spent it on COVID."
Clearly shitty, though.
Clearly shitty. And I've never heard of a developer having their own game pirated by their publisher and then re-uploaded to Steam for sale.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel bad for all the people that bought that copy of the version, because I guess that they had the version that Nacon pirated was the deluxe version with a bunch of additional stuff in it.
At this point, I can only hope that they sue the company into oblivion. They get their money back and they move on with their lives.
I hope that Valve bans that company and not just the company, but also the owners of the company from ever being involved in a company that is allowed to upload to Steam, because that's got to be some kind of violation of Valve's agreements with its publishers and developers, that you don't put up illegally pirated games for sale.
And if it's not, I mean, it just looks bad.
I can't believe it wouldn't be, and if it isn't, then that is a huge oversight.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the second above the fold. Andrew?
I'll move on to tech news.
Okay.
Our friendly neighborhood Tencent, Chinese conglomerate that does not own GameHounds yet.
We can only hope.
Yes.
We're nothing if not optimistic.
Tencent
we will totally sell.
Tencent has branded a gaming cell phone that is launched in China and will be available next month across into the world, called Red Magic. And some of the things it boasts is a 165 hertz screen, so 165 frames per second screen, and a whopping 18 gigabytes of RAM. So that little phone is packing some like good tech. Whether or not it'll be good is different. I imagine it'd be hard. But it's Red Magic is the gaming brand of ZTE, which is a subdivision of Nubia. Now, I've had a ZTE phone, and they are cheap dog shit.
Really?
One of my first smartphones I got was like a ZTE2 Overture, and it was like barely a smartphone. Like touchscreen, it worked, but it wasn't great. So my experience with them, it was a cheap product to begin with. It was like a Cricket free phone that they gave out. This doesn't look like it's going to be as cheap, and there's going to be two versions. There's going to be the 6 and the 6 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference, I think, is the non-Pro has a bigger battery but slower system. Like, it doesn't take as much charge, and it'll take longer to charge up.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be about it. I'm not really sure what other differences there are. But some cool things about this phone is it's going to have a 1080p screen. It's going to be about 7 inches. It's going to have like a cooling fan and all sorts of stuff.
God, it must be loud as hell if it's got a cooling fan and a phone.
Right. They're also going to have touch-sensitive, capacitive shoulder triggers on the phone. So they're going to have basically, shoulder buttons.
It's kind of a good idea. I mean,
it's actually kind of cool.
It's kind of like a Switch that you can use to make phone calls.
Mm-hmm. Currently, the pricing for it is around $600, $585 American for the 6, and then $1,020 for the 6 Pro. Difference being it's going to have
spendy.
It's going to have so the non-Pro model is going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, and the Pro model will have 18 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. So it's quite a big difference between the two.
Yeah, but still, that's quite spendy.
That seems like a neat idea, but also like it exists in this in between zone. What's this limbo between phone and I don't know console games that no one gives a shit about. Because phone games
maybe here, but over in China and Korea, phone games are huge.
But they're designed for phones. They're designed to be controlled perfectly with a touchscreen. If you try to port a console game to a phone, even though it has shoulder buttons, there's still a whole mess of face buttons that you then have to deal with, and those are still the control stick, and that's still kind of a pain to do on a touchscreen. So even with the shoulder buttons, it doesn't really allow for a better port of a console game to a phone game. The best phone games would still be the games designed specifically for the phone.
Right.
And so you just added buttons to a phone, and yeah, maybe you can do more with phone games, but you're just doing more with phone games. You're bridging a gap that no one cares about, because a phone game is a phone game, a console game is a console game. They kind of have different design philosophies behind them. And this in-between zone feels kind of pointless to me.
Well, consider for a second, the fact that what they're playing on screen right now is PUBG. Mm-hmm. You got Fortnite, you got Call of Duty coming out. Those are games that are getting ported over to the phone, and yeah, a trigger would make those games better.
But also those games are still fucking blowing up even without triggers. So
no, but I mean,
apparently the triggers are not that big of a deal.
No, but if you can make that a thing, if you can sell this product where the game is going to run way better, there's going to be people who enjoy that game who want that competitive advantage. And it offers more than triggers. It offers, high refresh rate gameplay out of a phone. And
I know. Can you not just get that from the iPhone 12?
Not that level, I don't think. Like, because typically phone games don't worry about having 60 frames per second. Like, they don't need that, at least from my understanding. Like, I'm not really on the pulse of phone gaming.
Yeah, like I said, it just feels weird to me. This desire to make a phone game more like a console game is like barking up the wrong tree, right?
Well, you get something you're like trying Diablo coming out, and like that's going to games will just be better for having those trigger buttons rather than being worse. And some people will buy for that experience. And like Edie said, it's a way huger market in China, in Japan than it is here.
China and Korea. Oh yeah. Huge. I was amazed how many people are still playing PUBG over in China.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people playing it here. Like it's
but not like I mean, it's really popular over there.
Like the reason they made Diablo was not for the American market at all, or Diablo Immortals to be specific. It was made for the Eastern market.
Yep. So yeah, that's an interesting story. Thank you.
That reminded me, did you ever talk about NVIDIA putting out a line of video cards? Not really video cards. They're specifically mining cards. It was like a way to cut down on people scalping video cards is they're going to put out a card that's just dedicated to mining.
It's a good idea.
And as a result, it lacks a video output. So you can't even use it as a graphics card because it doesn't do that. It's just for like processing mining. And they've got like a whole line of cards dedicated to that. And they've basically said like, this won't impact the availability of our graphics cards. And it's their way of trying to, walk the line between both of those desires, miners and gamers, and one is taking all the cards that the other wants.
Okay,
makes sense.
I'm going to basically parrot a take that I agree with from a very popular YouTube channel called Linus Tech Tips. I watched a video about this and their take on it, and I have to agree with them. It sounds like they have gamers in mind, but the truth is that it is a move that affects their bottom line in a good way. Because,
yeah.
Well, before with the old cryptocurrency boom, when this happened before, the only difference now is that there's a silicon shortage. So like making the actual, like the raw materials are short right now. When you had those people who were buying the high-end graphics cards or even the mid-tier graphics cards for cryptocurrency, they would, when the market eventually busted, they resold them. And there were so many on the market for resale that NVIDIA took a huge hit. And what this does is it allows them to basically build a card, and they said it shouldn't affect their high-end gaming stuff because it's all from when you make a graphics card, the chips, they come out on a wafer and they pop them out, and some are not up to stuff for like the high-end cards, and the ones that don't run as well go to the lower-end cards and etc. So these are not the chips that would make it to those high-end gaming cards. They got put into these cryptocurrency mining cards. This does two things though. One, these cryptocurrency mining cards are useless on the resale market. They will never be used again, so they provide or produce a shitload of waste. Basically, when cryptocurrency is done, these are going to go into the landfill and be useless. And then two, if they're popular enough, while right now they say they're not using chips on them that are good, they will begin to use chips on them that are good if they are making a profit, which will then decrease the actual graphics cards for gamers that they're trying to protect. And I can see that as like, this is a marketing spin. It is a marketing spin to make money, and so that later down the road, they're protecting their bottom line because there will be no resale on this.
The resale part is something I would not have thought about, but that's sneaky. Of like, We know this card will eventually get outdated, and when it does, there's no way that gamers will pick it up on the cheap because it's designed not to be used for that.
Yeah, because even though like cryptocurrency mining cards are run hard, they're often undervolted so that they can run longer. So when the resale happens, they're still good for gaming for a couple years, like for a while. But yeah, with these new gaming cards, they're useless to anyone but cryptocurrency miners. And there's no way to reuse them.
Yeah, I never really thought about that implication, but you are absolutely right. It's a one and done. It's a disposable. That's what it is. Disposable graphic GPU.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up because that is a good like story, but that is also a good like thing to know that what's going to happen when this is done.
Yeah. You'll still never get a good graphics card for your.
don't say that to me.
It's just never gonna happen.
You don't understand. It is distressing. Okay.
By the time you're able to get a video card, every other component will be outdated.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a bit of a tirade. This is important. To give you an example of how bad it is out there. First of all, the 3000 series cards by NVIDIA. Can't find it. Like literally can't find up the market. Can't find the markup price that they were selling at. So like the 2 to 3 times higher than MSRP. You can't even find them anymore. They're just sold out everywhere. But the cheap budget cards, in this case, like the 1660 Super, which sells for MSRP at $240, I am seeing it online for $770.
Oh,
that is the lowest I've seen it. So 4 times. This is for like a 2 to 3 year old card. That's budget.
Oh wow!
They're bringing back 4-year-old graphics cards just to have stuff to sell.
I got an old graphics card if you want it.
No,
apparently it was like top of the line 10 years ago.
Yeah, you should try to sell that, Edie. You could probably make a profit.
Probably could.
It is driving me nuts, and they're coming out with NVIDIA dropped a card last month, like on the 25th, the 3060, and I wanted to get that, but like if you hit refresh on like Best Buy, it went from coming soon to sold out. Like pretty much anywhere that it sold, they only had a few anyways, so the stock may not have been there. And now I'm waiting for the 18th, which AMD is releasing a new card. They promise there's going to be more stock. It's going to be there's going to be new stock every week on their page. I don't know. I don't think I can get my hopes up again and be hurt. I just want a stupid card so I can get a VR gaming system.
I would hope that AMD, after seeing all the shit NVIDIA has gone through, on their website at least, implement some sort of mechanism to try and deter scalpers. Some sort of capture at the very least.
I hope so. Like, direct selling gives them more control of like those type of systems.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping they do something.
Yeah, at least on their website. Like they can't, if they give it to Best Buy, they can't control what Best Buy does, but at least on their site, they can do something.
Well, what they're also doing is they're releasing their OEM card, like their in-house developed card on their website, and all of their third market like providers like Gigabyte, EVGA are also selling on the same day on top of in-system, like integrated in systems already, like pre-built essentially. They're releasing it all on the same day to hopefully like slow down that like sellout. But yes, it has been bugging me. I've been checking to this pretty much every other day and want to strangle some scalpers and crypto miners. That's all. I mean, sorry YouTube. I want to cuddle them aggressively.
Well, it's funny. I don't know how, but my brother managed to get a PS5. I should actually ask him like what it was like, but because I remember in January, I think I told him like, yeah, I've been playing through Dark Souls, and he's like, oh, you found a PS5? That's awesome! I'm so jealous. And the last time I talked to him, like a week ago, he said that he managed to get a PS5, and so he's been playing Dark Souls. So yeah, I'm not sure what thing he was following or where he actually got it from, but there is stock out there floating around.
Yeah,
my sister got one
Demon
too.
Souls, not Dark
Best
Souls.
Best Buy had a refresh. I saw it available for a second, and I hit add to my cart, and then it was like, yeah, no. But both Walmart and Best Buy had stock refreshes. I want to say Thursday or Friday.
My sister got one as well.
But
yeah, it's funny. I was going through the news. It's like this place has stock update sold out.
Yeah,
this place has stock update sold out.
Yeah. When I see that there is an update, I will add it to our Discord channel. So you might want to actually be on our Discord. I will absolutely put it on our Discord channel when I see things are up. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll get one, but I'll let you know if there is a stock refresh.
So it seems at least for
put it into the Game Deals channel.
So it seems at least for PS5s, instead of video cards, it may be hard, but there is hope of getting one.
Yeah. They're definitely producing them as fast as they possibly can.
Trying to get a graphics card makes you want to cuddle yourself. However, if you're looking to get a new computer, my advice is to buy it pre-built. Normally, I would say try to build it yourself, but with the way the graphics card in the market is right now, buying a pre-built for $1,500 gets you a very good machine that you just won't otherwise be able to build because of missing graphics cards.
Right. Yeah. AC Ray says there's just enough hope to waste your life trying.
Exactly.
I want that on. I don't have a tattoo, but if I were to get one, I would want that tattooed on my arm. Just enough hope to waste your life trying.
Anyways, my tirade's over.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Nick, next item.
This is one that you actually put into the Discord, and I had not heard of it. But I guess Steam is officially no longer developing Artifact, which the announcement they put out, I feel like is kind of confusing. So the history of Artifact is it was supposed to be their next big card game, from the creator of Magic, based around Dota 2. They put it out there with a lot of hype, and the player count dropped like a rock because a lot of people didn't really like it.
Well, it had a lot of problems. One, most card games, the game is free, and then card packs you purchase for small amounts. Valve made a game that was $20, and then the card packs were additional money.
Yeah, a lot of buy-in.
A horrible cash grab. And really was not, it had some the rules weren't that great. Just it wasn't really a great. I think at some point that I think I might be remembering something different, but if you used cards or you used certain power-ups in the cards, the power-ups actually disappeared. So you were constantly on the hook for going back and purchasing more cards, more card packs. It's not like if you used a card and then you lost, then whether you won or lost, you lost that card.
That's terrible. That is a terrible game design for a card game.
Oh, yeah. For a card game that's $20? Yes, it is.
I think you're right. I mean, just initially double dipping by charging for a card game.
Yeah, and I may be remembering that wrong. Someone in the chat room will correct me. I'm pretty sure that was the card game that does that.
I mean, offer a pack that's $20 that gives them more value than $20 off their card game because it's digital. That value will last forever. You're not losing something by selling some cards.
Right.
Don't charge for your game up front.
Yeah.
And so last I had heard of Artifact, Valve said, look, we see the reception is not what we want it to be. We are going to stop selling it and basically go back to the drawing board and try to redesign it. And that was the last I heard of it. Until now, when they put out the Future of Artifact announcement, which says, and this is where I'm confused, while we're reasonably satisfied we accomplished most of our game side goals, we haven't managed to get the active player numbers to a level that justifies further development at this time. As such, we made the tough decision to stop development on Artifact 2.0 beta. And it's like, you made a big announcement and show of stopping selling the game and going back to rework it. And now you're announcing you're stopping work on that new version by saying the player count was too low. Well, of course, the player count was low. You stopped selling the game and said, well, we reworking it. And I'm not sure if it meant like the beta maybe didn't attract enough players for them to continue justifying it. But even then, that seems like a weird excuse because it's just a beta. So I'm not exactly sure what went through their mind as they were developing it, but they've officially stopped development on Artifact 2.0, and they're now making both versions of the game free, which they now call Artifact Classic and Artifact Foundry. And I don't know exactly the specifics between the rules, but Artifact Foundry is basically going to act like any free-to-play card game, where it's now entirely free. You gain access to the cards by playing the game, and all of the cards are earned that way. You cannot sell or buy any cards on any marketplace. Whereas with Artifact Classic, anyone who gets the game now, they will earn all the cards in-game. Any card that someone had previously bought will become special collector's edition versions, and those will still be marketable. Like, you'll still be able to trade and sell those to other players, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But no new version of the card is. So it's like just this kind of very, I don't know, incestuous marketplace of like, oh, we were the early adopters and we can trade stuff amongst ourselves, but that's it.
Well,
and then every other
with new players too.
Oh yeah, I guess they could. Yeah, a new person would be able to buy the collector's edition version of a card,
which actually might drive those prices up, just because there's
it probably would. And I don't know what the rules difference between the games are. I was never into it enough to know that, but they are distinct versions: Artifact Classic and Artifact Foundry. And they said that for Artifact Foundry, the core gameplay is all there. So whatever changes they made to the rules, like all that's fine. It's just that what's missing is polish and art, they say. So maybe some of the art on the cards or some of the animations on like, the card movements and how things are played is not final. Because it's still an unfinished game. It's just an unfinished game with all the mechanics intact, but a lot of the art and polishing animations not.
My, guess, which is this is entirely a guess, is Valve has a risk management team when they put together like these projects or what like the value is of like remaking this game. And at some point, someone on it was just like, we don't think we'll get the player base back. Stop. Like, don't bother. Right. It's not about what we have now. That's just an excuse. It's we don't think we'll recover.
It's shockingly similar to Anthem.
Yeah.
They Anthemed it. They went and said, I don't know that we can recover from this. And is it really worth our time to put developers onto this, spend a bunch of time, spend a bunch of money, when we've already don't really have a lot of people, A, clamoring for it, and B, we have to go uphill to get anybody that's tried it before to convince them that it's different and this is better.
And Valve being a developer that's like, oh, we'll develop a version of Half-Life 3 and then cancel it because we weren't satisfied.
Valve is the Google of video games.
And to be fair, for the most part, Valve cancels stuff that they're working on without announcing it. Google announces things and then cancels it. So at least Valve, that's why Valve is a black hole. A developer goes there, works on a game for 10 years, never publishes anything because they're all canceled internally.
Right.
Like creatively, that has to stuck, but that's pretty good, like job security, I guess. It's like,
I'm never gonna ship a project, but I'll always be working. Aww.
If I were a developer at Valve, I would actually have some kind of questions about whether I should actually put the effort into it. Like, I could just be sitting there and writing my great American novel. It's like, what are you doing? Working. Okay. Oh, a project canceled. Oh, shit. Well, what are we doing tomorrow? Keep working. Hey, where'd you find all the time to write that novel? Nights and weekends.
Somewhere there was a developer who's like, I was supposed to be working on Artifact, but I was just dicking off the whole time. And now it doesn't matter.
Right. Somebody might actually work for 20 years at Valve as a developer and never actually release a game.
Again, sucks creatively if that's your passion.
Right.
But the job market for a developer isn't great.
They may not you could conceivably get somebody as a developer, coder, working at Valve on games who does not know how to code. Like, just fake your way all the way to get the job and then just pretend you're typing.
I mean, I remember, I think it was the developer of Firewatch that they got bought by Valve after they had announced a new game called In the Valley of the Gods. And that game just kind of disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. I would never, I mean, no matter how much money they gave me, I would have a hard time if I really cared about my studio selling to Valve, because it's pretty much, that's where developers go to die.
Yeah, it's like everyone just kind of then gets peeled off on other projects.
The sad thing is, it sounds like that's the case with most developers nowadays. Just like there's less and less games being produced, that if you get bought up by EA and you don't produce the next masterpiece, you're probably getting scuttled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
So yeah, they're the equivalent of corporate raiders. What they were corporate raiders in the 80s, where you move in, you do a hostile takeover, take over a corporation, run it into the ground, and then sell all the assets and make money because you bought the company, or you got the company for less money than the actual assets of selling the tables and the chairs and the IPs and everything else. And it's sort of the same thing now, but with development. So the next item would be mine. So let me go to my banners and take that off. So there's this thing called Final Fantasy 14.
What?
Never heard of it.
And it is a big MMO. And one of the things about MMOs is there's always a side market. There's always somebody working a side hustle to sell currency, equipment, whatever.
Back in the day of gold farming.
Farming. Yep.
Good old Steve Bannon. That's how he made his fortune.
Did he really?
Yeah. Steve Bannon made his fortune being a World of Warcraft gold farmer.
Oh, that makes me hate him so much more. Oh my God.
You didn't know this?
No, I didn't know this. Oh, it makes me just hate him even more. Well, Steve Bannon wannabes in Final Fantasy 14 of them, 5,000 of them woke up a couple of days ago and sat down to go to work, and there was no work to be had. Kind of like working at Valve. Their accounts had been banned.
Wow.
So according to the development team, these players were engaged in real money trading and advertisements, which would, as it does in every game where there's real money trading, fuck up the balance of the marketplace. So this was a post in the game's official website. Square Enix said that 5,037 different accounts were banned for participation in real money trading and other, quote unquote, other illicit activities, which they didn't specify, but seems kind of sounds like they were given blowjobs in game.
This isn't Second Life.
You got that kill?
Let's see. Another 814 were banned for advertising real money trading. And if anyone has ever stood for half a second in any of the major cities, you will know that the spamming going on in the chat, in like the global chat, is just off the hook in that game. So
it's rad.
Players can submit a cheating report within the in-game client to help curb the problem. So they've actually instituted that. They've had that, I think, in the past, but not a lot of people have used it. But they are actually trying to encourage people to report advertisements to stop others from offering these services in-game. They are apparently getting very serious about cracking down on it, because it is wildly out of control in Final Fantasy. So yeah. And that includes things like power leveling services and other gear you don't want for real money in MMO games. Not being new, but still it is annoying as you're playing the game, especially if you're on late at night. I would be sitting in one of the main cities and it would just be a scroll of just scroll after scroll after scroll, and it was the same person just hitting enter, hitting enter, hitting enter. I know, I do too, but it's a pain in the ass that I actually have to go through the process of blacklisting someone that is doing something that Square Enix should actually do for them. I'm doing Square Enix's works for them. Is that I shouldn't be the one banning them. Square Enix should be the one banning them, and clearly they are starting this. I would imagine that 5,000 seems really small to me, so this might be the first of many.
And I mean, they do that in general. Like, they've been banning people like over the course of the entire game. This is just the newest wave.
Oh, have they done it before?
Oh yeah, they constantly ban people for real money trading.
Then why do people keep doing it? Well, because
I mean, all it takes,
they just make a new character that goes into a main city and just hits enter.
Because all they have to do is like make a new character that's not tied to the person who holds the money.
Right.
So, you make a new character, that character gets banned, not the person who has the money.
Right. So yeah, that happened. That's what you call below the fold story. Let's see. Nick went. Andrew, you're up.
Well, just a quickie. Epic. This is another below the fold story. Epic Games has bought the Fall Guys studio. I don't
know if that would be below.
Wait, they did?
That's not below the fold.
I believe it's Digital Revolver, right? The people who made Fall Guys.
I think. Oh man, I had not heard of that.
They bought the studio, so it's Digital Revolver's they did what? My Friend Pedro and a bunch of other games.
Wait, did they?
Let's find out.
Yeah, they definitely did My Friend Pedro. Yep. No, Mediatonic.
My bad. The publisher is Digital Devolver,
Devolver Digital.
Sorry, Devolver. Yeah.
They bought Mediatonic.
They bought Mediatonic. Right.
Quick questions of like whether or not it'd still be able to be sold on Steam. Yes. There's talks of maybe making it cross-platform now that Epic owns it, and they're just gonna let them do their thing. Will it still be
updated on? Oh, yeah, I guess if Epic bought it, that wouldn't affect any updates on like PlayStation and Xbox, because Epic puts out the games on everything. It's just Steam is the one.
They said they're going to keep it up for now, but they said the same thing about Rocket League, which I think they took down from Steam for a little while.
Did they really?
I think once upon a time, yeah.
So the question is, does this mean Epic's going to do, after we just had that conversation of that's what developers do, is buy these guys and then they just all disappear?
Well,
I don't think so, because like they bought Rocket League, and the Rocket League guys are still updating Rocket League.
This falls in line, I think, with like Fortnite and stuff like that. Just I don't. I couldn't give you a strong reason why like Fall Guys kind of fits into that kind of. It's not a hardcore game, and like Fortnite is hardcore, but it kind of has the graphics and the play style of something that could be done casually.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's mainly why they got this. It's just they see a market for it, and it's a good game for them to have. We'll see what they end up doing with it, though. Yeah. Hopefully, it gives.
You know what's going to happen to it? Microtransacted up the fucking wazoo.
I don't think so. Yeah, at least not anything more than what they have, because there's already microtransactions in the game.
What I would see is a lot of cross content with this move.
Yeah,
basically anything. Fortnite, for instance,
you're gonna see a Fall Guy in Fortnite.
Yeah, no,
and a Fortnite guy in Fall Guy. I mean, in Fall Guys.
Yeah, that's why you know what? That's why I kind of see them in the same kind of area, because you think of all the goofy cosmetics that Fortnite gets. Like, you can get a giant banana suit. You could totally be a giant Fall Guy in Fortnite. I like Fall Guys, and I don't know much about the studio who made it, but like, it's a kind of game that I'd love to see the studio be rewarded for.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that this gives them some breathing room, that they don't have to worry about money, and that they can do what they want.
I don't think they would. Well, I don't know, because Fall Guys took off because it was a free PS Plus game. So I'm not entirely sure how that translated into financial success. Like, I know Rocket League has done well, clearly, but I don't know what that means for Fall Guys. But at least, yeah, now it seems like they have some financial security.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I didn't know if anyone would be particularly interested in this, but
I've not gone back to Fall Guys for a while, but I still have really fond memories of it.
Yeah,
I do too. Same thing. I haven't come back to it. Crap! I didn't mean to do that. All right, Nick, what you got?
Shoot, I don't really have anything else, but I did know there was a story about Tiny Tina in the Borderlands movie, but I don't know any details of it.
Oh, I've got that.
Okay.
Let's see, where is it? Borderlands movie gets its Tiny Tina. Tiny Tina is, we need to have a Borderlands live action movie coming up, and we knew that was happening, and they had announced some casting. Kate Beckinsale was gonna be.
Was it? No, I think it was Kate Blanchett. Lilith.
Sorry, Lilith. Kevin Hart was going to be Roland, which was very questionable. Jack Black as the bot. Claptrap. Right. So we now have our Tiny Tina. There's like two people that people are wondering who's going to get cast, and Mordecai being one of them, and Tiny Tina being another one, because Tiny Tina is such a huge personality in that game. Going to be very hard for someone, if they fuck up that casting, a lot of people will be very upset. Well, they have announced that it is going to be Ariana Greenblatt. So she was played Gamora in Avengers Infinity War.
A young Gamora.
Young Gamora.
She was Gamora in one scene of a flashback that we see Gamora has a young kid. Right.
So Randy Pitchford announced it over Twitter. In addition to Infinity War, she's 13, which she's right at the right age. She's starred in last year's The One and Only Ivan and Love and Monsters. She's also played Daphne Diaz in the TV series Stuck in the Middle, and appeared as a contestant on Dancing with the Stars Juniors in 2018.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
So she's not a huge name, but I kind of knew that they weren't going to have a huge name, because they have blown a lot of money on Jack Black and Kevin Hart and Kate Blanchett. Kate Blanchett?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kate Blanchett. And who was the other one? There was somebody's going to be playing the doctor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, who
is it? Blood Reaper. Who's going to be playing Dr. What's Her Bucket?
It makes sense that Tiny Tina isn't a big name, because it's a kid, unless it was like a Disney star kid. There's not a lot of child actors that have the same level of cachet as like Jack Black.
And honestly, I think for her, this would be an amazing, like, Borderlands is gonna get a lot of eyes on it. This would be a perfect time for her to break out if she's interested in this as like a big career. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
Kate Blanchett
There she is.
and Kevin Hart being romantic interests. That's me.
Okay, so you may recognize her from there. She definitely looks like Tiny Tina.
Hey, makeup does crazy things to people.
She's got the right build for it. But yeah, so that's your new Tiny Tina.
I mean, if she nails the over the topness that is Tiny Tina, I think we're fine. That's all she needs to like do. And then
she has to nail the insanity and the funny.
Mm-hmm.
And the damage.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's right, Jamie Lee Curtis. So those are 4 very large names that cost a lot of money. So they don't have. I mean, it's not like budgets are unlimited for casting. So they've probably shot most of their wad for the casting. Now they're going to have to go with people we don't exactly know.
Yeah,
Tannis. Thank you.
To be fair, Tannis, and Claptrap, so Jamie Lee Curtis and Jack Black, they're more side characters. Those are like the equivalent of a cameo. So, he's getting a big star, but it's getting a big star in a cameo.
It depends on the story that they tell. That tells me that casting very much tells me that those are going to be the 4 big characters of that movie.
I don't think so.
We'll have to end up seeing. Hopefully, at this point, I'm just hoping it turns out well and not another monster.
I thought about Norman Reedus for Mordecai. He would not be bad.
He does should be a good one. He's got the lanky look.
Yeah, and who played Community? Who played
the lead?
No. It was Daniel Glover and not Daniel.
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, and who played it was like they were best friends.
Ahmed. I don't know his name.
He would make a good one. Let's see. Community, full cast and crew. Stand by. Abed. That's it. It wasn't Ahmed. I knew that. Abed.
No, I think that was Chevy Chase's character, what he called him.
Yes.
Being,
Danny Pudi.
Ironically racist.
Danny Pudi. That guy.
That's right.
There. He would be also a very good Mordecai because he can play a little bit weird, a lot weird, in a very endearing way. And he's got the right build. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
I was also with Mordecai though. It's like he wears goggles and a hat, which obviously he doesn't have to the entire time of the series. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what they end up looking like, I don't think will matter.
Well, it's their build. Their build. It's the ability to play a certain character and what they look like physically, not necessarily in the face. Thank you for that.
Well, I just I hope that this doesn't.
Callista Flockhart as Ellie. Have you seen Callista Flockhart in the last 5 years? She has not aged well, to say the least. I mean, people think about Callista Flockhart the way she looked like 20 years ago. She does not look like that now. We are looking her up.
Oh yeah. I know who that is.
Anyway.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I don't have any news stories, but at least I have like random weird factoid that I don't think most people would ever really need to know. But the indie game sale on PSN is still ongoing, and it's a lot of really good indie games for like dirt cheap in a lot of cases. I spent a lot of money buying 13 games. And I know specifically the number of games because you can only buy 10 games in a single transaction on the PSN storefront.
Right.
If you get to 10 games in your cart and you try to add another, it won't let you.
Yeah.
Which I had never encountered before then because I've never bought who realistically would buy 10 games, more than 10 in a single transaction. But in this instance, I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy this many games, and then I like added a couple more in a different transaction. But
so
I didn't know it was limited.
This is Callista Flockhart 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not. She does not look like the way you remember her anymore.
But Nick, to be fair, how many people collect games they're never going to play like you?
Oh yeah, that's why I said this is something most people will never encounter. But yeah, I did. I intend to play all those games.
Yeah.
Well, we all intend to play all the games we buy.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we move on then?
Yep. Nick, I'm really surprised you didn't bring this up because you were the one that posted it in, and I've been like holding off.
Did I thought I'd look through everything on Discord.
No, you have not mentioned the new Nintendo announcement, the leak about Nintendo unveiling a new Switch gaming console. It was leaked from reputable sources. It's going to be bigger. I thought you did. Bigger. It's going to have a Samsung OLED display in it. And they're going to be releasing it before the end of the year, probably around holidays. Everybody's assuming. So it's going to be 7-inch, 720p resolution OLED panels as early as June, as they're saying, with an initial monthly target of just under 1 million units. This was released by people who are close to it that wanted to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. The displays are slated for shipment to assemblers around July, and representatives for Nintendo and Samsung Display declined to comment from The Verge or anyone else who had the story. So it looks like that this new display is very similar to the current Switch and Switch Lite, but it's an upgrade from the Switch's 6.2 inch and the Lite's 5.5 inch display. Everybody's assuming that they're not going to make the actual thing bigger. They're just going.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't. It's a good size.
Getting rid of the bezel essentially to increase the screen size. And what's kind of interesting is that with making it OLED, and if you don't know the difference between OLED and traditional screens, I think it's LCD screens. LCD screens, all the pixels are on all the time. It just depends on what color they're putting out. So your blacks are never truly black. OLEDs, one of the nice things about it is that each pixel has a variant of on or off. So you can actually turn off a pixel. That's why the blacks are so black. The colors pop because they have colors against black backgrounds that are truly black. That's why you've got this really nice contrast. It's why they look so incredible. But most importantly, they save power. They save energy because you're not running all pixels all the time. So the OLED displays are going to consume less battery. They're going to be better looking, probably faster response times because, of course, you don't have to run as much when you have pixels turned off. You don't have to have that processing power to go through all the pixels, just the pixels that are on at that moment. And they're going to be using, that cat is so hilarious. They're going to be using, instead of the flexible OLED screens, the panels, they're actually going to be using the rigid panels, which is kind of a big deal because
that flexible, makes sense because the Switch doesn't have a curve in it. The screen, it's just flat.
Right, and curved, flexible OLED panels are pretty much used in all of the phones that are being made with OLED, and the rigid panels, they are actually dirt cheap because there was a massive overproduction on them, and then all of a sudden the flexibles became the new hotness. Now there's this kind of glut. Samsung has the price of those rigid panels has gone down. I mean, it's crashed in the last 5 or 6 years. So rigid OLED panels are actually fairly inexpensive. So it's a win-win because Samsung it's an inexpensive. The way they're doing it is inexpensively. It's going to save power, which means that they can put a bigger processing unit in it and not have to worry about battery life. And Samsung needs to get rid of these panels. They got a lot of them.
Does this mean we'll actually have a new video game console not beset by production shortages?
At least not as far as the panels are concerned, the OLEDs. But yes, it's probably, well, I mean, it's beset by shortages because of scalpers, and that's not going to change. It is not. They have not figured out a way to make scalpers not be able to get it. At least as far as I know.
Not only that. Like I said, there's a silicon shortage right now that is like massive, and it's affecting all sorts of industries, even like car development, and a lot of that is actually going to like the automotive industry.
Right. Yeah. Automotive industry is having a real hard time with it too. But either way, expect to see this new, according to these rumors and reports and anonymous tips, expect to see it by the end of the year. I figured we would see a new Switch maybe next year, but looks like it's going to be this year if they're right.
I kind of want a Switch. Like, the Switch looks fun.
I kind of want a Switch too. And I'm thinking one of two things are going to happen because we all care about what the price is. Either they're going to reduce the price of the existing Switch, and because what's the current price for? It's like $300 for a Switch and $200 for a Switch Lite. They're either because Nintendo always has an inexpensive console, a good, not always good, but at least with Switch, a good inexpensive console. I think that it's either going to be they're going to lower the price of the Switch existing and by $50 and then make this new console $300, or they might make it $350 because it is a significantly better
I would hope that they lower the price of the other ones and keep the new one at $300.
Yeah, sure, I would too. But I think realistically, they might know that the market will bear a $50 increase and be happy enough to do it. I don't think $350. The difference between $300 and $350, that's not a bank. That's not ever going to make anybody go, ew. Really. I think the difference between $575 and $625 will make people go, because it's more on top of more. So I think that the fact that they've got a lower price console kind of gives them that flexibility to be able to make that pricing decision. But that's what I'm gonna get. That's what I'm putting my money on, is that going to be $350.
I've got a news story. There was a bunch in the chat from Blood Reaper. A few of them are really interesting. Not in the chat, in the Discord. The directors of Ghost of Tsushima are going to be awarded ambassadors for the city of Tsushima.
Oh,
right.
Sweet.
And from reading through this article, it's not like that's going to become their new job. It's basically this award bestowed on them for like bringing recognition to Tsushima.
Yep.
And as part of that, Sony is going to work with the government of Tsushima for a new tourism campaign based around the game.
That makes sense. It's kind of like they'd be foolish not to capitalize on it, especially if Tsushima has a lot of these locations on it that we remember from the game. I fucking would go. I would totally tour Tsushima. I've already looked to see Airbnbs in Tsushima because I thought, if I come into a little bit of money, I'm going to take Nick and Andrew. We're fucking going to Tsushima. Just going to go. Just spend a couple of weeks hanging out in Tsushima.
It sounds like
I literally looked that up. I looked up Airbnbs in Tsushima.
That's cool. It sounds like the game has done for Tsushima what Lord of the Rings did for New Zealand.
Yep. Yeah, that's it, and it is kind of neat, and it's nice to see them not resisting it, but embracing it, I mean, it's so very easily they could have been like, oh, fucking, why did you make it about our little island? You're just going to wreck it. We like it the way it is. We hate the fact that we have people coming to Tsushima looking for places. This is annoying. It's like, no, they're like, yes, absolutely. Please come to Tsushima. We would love to have you. Thank you.
Shows you how good of a job they did.
Yeah. Yep. So, next item.
I have one last item.
Sorry.
I'll try to make it quick. So we're hitting that mark.
Yeah, we're definitely hitting. Oh my God, we are hitting that mark. We are at the 3 hour mark, but genuinely at 3 hours. So let's wrap it up.
Hogwarts Legacy. It was mentioned how they distanced themselves from our J.K. Rowling. Well, they just let go, or at least one of the senior producers for the game has quit. And according to them, that it was he was secure in his position, but he decided to go. And that senior producer was recently at the center of a controversy, because back between 2016 and 2018, he made a slew of YouTube content that was very anti-SJW and very let's see if I can find the exact quote. The videos attacked social justice activism and defended figures like Atari co-founder Nolan Bushnell and Pixar co-founder John Lasseter.
Mm-hmm.
Both of whom have been accused of sexual assault. So he was already in kind of hot water for that, but apparently he said he left just because he wanted to. Like, they weren't firing him or anything. But they've since, lost now a senior producer for the game.
Yeah. That's a shame. I'm kind of there's part of me that's looking forward to this. I just kind of like the idea.
Of the Harry Potter game?
The Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
I kind of am looking forward to it. I did love the books. Not gonna lie. Really did.
Yeah, they're good books.
And I loved the world and I loved the movies. So I would imagine this is probably not going to be registering too big on how, when it comes out or how it's going to go. I mean, I don't think that this guy was necessarily crucial to the game. I mean, it's not like we're talking about, Todd.
Well,
my Todd.
Todd Howard?
Yeah.
I feel like he could be removed.
Yeah, well, I know. Yes, he could. But you know what I'm talking about. Like, people that actually were like, oh, this is removing them from a game this is their game, and without their guidance and without their vision, we wouldn't have the same game.
Fair. But I mean, it's just never good, to lose a senior producer for a game.
Right. Yeah.
Whether or not I haven't seen his content, I don't know how bad it is. Whether or not he should be working on the game is a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is gone from it. So.
All right. So yeah, you can already see, I can see it in everybody's eyes. We're starting to get tired. It's like we hit the 3 hour mark and everyone gets that look.
I'll end with one fun story.
All right. One fun story.
So, you know that Halo Infinite was delayed. Marketing deals, unfortunately, cannot be delayed. So there's a new flavor of Pringles coming out with a marketing deal based on Halo Infinite. What's funny though?
Oh, I heard about this. I didn't want to mention it because if it is true, I really want to take advantage of it, and I don't want anybody else to know.
Okay, I don't know if you are, but I just know the flavor of the chips is like an impressively deep cut of lore. So the flavor of the chips is Moa Burger. And the Moa within the Halo fiction is a flightless bird that was native to the planet Reach, which in Halo got blown up. And so the flavor of these chips is basically like Dodo Burger, which I find kind of funny.
Oh, okay. So this is not the same thing that I was going to mention.
Okay, this has nothing to do with like in-game tie-ins or anything. I was impressed that like the Lay's company is naming their chip after like an actual in-game bird burger. It's like There are layers to that lore to the lore of that flavor.
Well, I mean, it's probably better than like naming it the Master Chief flavor. Like,
Yeah,
what would that be?
Cortana flavored.
It's just an empty can of Pringles. It's just
yeah.
Okay. So I thought you were going to bring up something that you may or may not want to take advantage of it, and I will give credit where credit is due. I have not done this. I have seen it, heard about it on the Spiffing Brit channel, so it's all on him. I'm just repeating what he said.
Oh, wait,
so
DJ Filthy because says it was a real bird? A turbo ostrich?
Was it?
I thought it was a fictional bird in Halo.
oh no, it's a real bird.
Really is going to look it up now.
Yes, I am.
So, Xbox has a marketing deal with Pringles right now, where on every can you get if you buy in the can, on a can, there is a code. That code gives you 1 week of Xbox Game Pass, right?
Mhm.
And it enters you with possibly winning an Xbox Series X. All right. Most companies, when they do these kind of promotional items, it happens all the time. They usually put it at like the bottom, like behind, like sodas. They will put those codes on the back of the label. So you've got to drink the soda to be able to read the label, right? Or it's on the inside of a cap or somewhere inside the container. Pringles decided, I can't quite believe that they did it, but according to the Spiffing Brit, they have printed the code on the bottom of the Pringles can. The outside bottom of the Pringles can.
That's not gonna go well.
Oh.
Oh. And all of a sudden, everybody leaves the podcast and runs down to their supermarket with their phone.
Next time I'm at Safeway, I'm going to look around for any Halo-themed Pringles can.
I think they're Xbox themed Pringles cans.
Xbox? Okay.
Yeah. I'll pull. Let me see if I can pull this up. Spiffing Brit, Pringles. Yes, I can get it. I will show you. He actually went into the store to show this. Let's see if I can get to it.
So many people are gonna buy stuff and be like, oh, I can't wait to, like, the people who are honest, and then like, nope, you can't. Sorry.
And I did some research. The moa was a real bird that did go extinct, but the moa within the Halo fiction is also real. Like it's a different. Like they probably named it after the real bird.
So yeah, they put the codes on the bottom of the can. Ignore him talking about Yorkshire tea because but yes, they put the codes on the bottom of the cans, so you can pretty much just click and get either 1 month or it's 1 month or 1 week of Game Pass Ultimate.
That's not very good.
Yeah, it's all.
Hey,
kinds
you
of
know
a bad
what?
idea.
Because of the way that I transitioned my gold account to Game Pass, I feel like I was robbed of 4 months. So I think I deserve at least 4 codes from Xbox.
Yep, there it is right there. There's your cans with that. Ignore that face.
Yeah, that did not look like cans to me, Edie. Just saying.
Yeah. So yeah, that's you might want to look for those cans in your supermarket when you're next there.
I will.
Because I mean, not only will you get that 1 week of Xbox Game Pass, by the way, you can stack them.
Wait, is it a week or a month?
It's either a week or I can't remember if it's a week or a month. A 7-day Game Pass Ultimate with every can.
Oh, it's only 7 days. Shit, I gotta get a lot of cans then.
Right. No, you don't have to get a lot of cans. You just take your phone and you take pictures of
Yes,
all the cans,
I've
and
got
then
to
you
do
put
it for
them
all
all
the
in.
cans.
But every single one that you put in, you also get a chance to win an Xbox out of it.
Okay.
All right. So,
and I feel like I want to end all this sort of Halo relay talk by teaching people, according to the Halo.fandom wiki, the inner colony world of Gannic 22 houses the largest single population of living Moas in the Halo universe, thanks to the petting zoo / restaurant Have Samoa. So I like the idea of a restaurant / petting zoo, Have Samoa.
All right. Can we close this fucking show out, please?
well, I actually wanted to talk to Nick about some Star Wars stuff, if that's all
Yeah.
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, damn. I can't believe Nick was gonna like start a new conversation. it was so bad.
Oh.
Are we over that yet?
Yeah.
All right. So let's close.
Cat wants to say hi.
Hi, Cat. Goodbye, Cat. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 584. We recorded this on March 7th, 2021. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick DiNicola and Andrew Smith. Ways to get a hold of us is gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. You can join us live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. We are live. We are in the chat room. But hey, if you're going to be there, you might as well go to YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids. That's VIDS. And on Twitch and Facebook, we are The GameHounds. In both of those places, we are streaming video live. Thank you so much to all of our Patreons. Our patrons who have allowed us to, they help subsidize the cost of the video feed. Thank you. It really, really, really makes a difference. And if you are interested in becoming a patron of ours, please do so. We would love to have you. Our Patreon is The GameHounds. I believe it is. Is it Patreon? No, it's patreon.com/GameHounds. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please give a like, give a thumbs up. You've been listening, you've been sitting here the whole damn time. Give us a thumbs up. That's all we ask. Just thumbs up. And if you feel inclined, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a show. You'll know when it goes live next week. Our Facebook, of course, I've said it's The GameHounds. That's where we're posting everything. And don't forget our Discord. Please check out our Facebook page to find our Discord server. We live stream there. We have news. We have information. You can contact us and the other members of the GameHounds Nation directly. But most importantly, we also put in our channel for game deals. We have game deals. If you want to find out what's cheap, if you want to find out when I find out that there is a refresh on any PS5 or Xbox Series X stocks, I will let you know. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Please take care of yourself. Be safe. Take that mask mandate seriously. And if you don't have a mask mandate in your state still, you should probably do it. Be safe. We need all of you to be around in 2022 when we go into our 14th year. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye. All right, we are out of the audio. We are still in video. Gentlemen, ladies, anyone watching, if you want us to cover items, a really good way to do it is in the Discord channel. That Discord channel has a channel in it called News Tips. Throw in news tips for us. We might very well discuss it in great detail. Hopefully it won't take 3 hours to do it next week. But thank you so much for hanging out for the full 3 hours. To everybody in the chat room, you are appreciated. We will talk to you next week. I will be on later murdering children in Crusader Kings 3 because they're in my way. So
and people who are watching on like YouTube or like Facebook, leave some comments. Like
Yeah.
I love responding to comments on YouTube. Leave some feedback if you're watching this, like not live. If you have questions or you want to see some stuff, let us know.
If you ever have any questions, if you ever have anything that you want us to start doing, stop doing, please let us know. Thank you to everyone here, and we will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.